requesting back to c6 with his knight. What a move.
Holy smokes, that was a move. Oh,
mate in one. Oh.
Mate in one. Whoa. Yes, but that move G4 wasn't, and it played it instantly. What?
Whoa, Yasser, bishop b5.
No.
C1, rook f1, rook d1. What is he doing? What was that? He just gave up a bishop. Oh my goodness.
And that's
that was a complete meltdown.
Total. And that's game over. That's an extra piece.
Oh my God. Now wait a second. Queen takes b5.
What he had was after f5, bishop takes b5, takes on e4, bishop to d7.
Queen c2 though here.
Queen c2, king g3.
Bishop f4. And if bishop f4, queen takes g2. Black wins. He's got to go for the perpetual. Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
What did we just see?
Yes, he's done it.
Unbelievable. And barring a fork or internet issues, white should win the game. Just push your darn pawns, Maxime.
In my own immortal words, push him, baby.
Oh yeah, and there they go. Well, it is Saturday, and that means it is time for the Rapid Chess Championship Week 7 presented by Coinbase. Today is the Saturday Swiss. I am Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky, and once again, a great pleasure to be bringing you commentary with the legend Grandmaster Yasser Seirawan. Yasser, good afternoon to you. It's time for Week 7.
Indeed it is, Danya. As always, a pleasure to be working the mic with you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our coverage of the Coinbase Rapid Championships. I'm really looking forward to this one, Danya, for a very simple reason. The cats are away. Will the mice get to play?
That's right. I mean, Hikaru is in Berlin. Levon is in Berlin. Hikaru is doing Wordle. So half of my mind is on a word that starts with EPO and is not epoch. But I promise that I will commentate.
Okay.
Yeah, Hikaru is away. And as we take a look at the leaderboard here,
yes,
we see that Fabi, Hikaru, and Levon top the standings. And that means that Asayev, Alexei Sarana, Jose Martinez, those players who are in the peloton, they have to do well these couple of weeks. Otherwise, they might not get their chance again.
Exactly. You got to score as many points as you possibly can to get up that leaderboard standings. And it's really nice, like you say, when Hikaru and Levon are all out of the mix, then we can see what the other guys get a chance to shine in the spotlight, Danya.
Yeah, and we saw that in action last week as Grandmaster Maxim Matlikov, now no slouch, obviously, over 2,700, but also no Levon. He put together a masterful performance, and he was number 8 in the Sunday Swiss. He barely squeaked by, and then he won the entire thing. He won 3 games with the black pieces, and then he defeated Dmitry Andreikin improbably through thick and thin by hook or by crook, somehow won. And that's a great case of, how did you put it? The fish are, what is that expression you use?
The mice are, when the cats are away, the mice
cats are away.
The mice will play.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's a good one. Malikov is in number 4, and that really mixes things up. And we will see if once again somebody improbable could qualify today. We will not know who wins, but we will know the 8 who qualified the end of today. And the reason we're able to conduct this tournament in the first place is thanks to our main sponsor, Coinbase. Yes. Rapid Chess Championship is brought to you by Coinbase. Whether you're looking to make your first crypto purchase or you're an experienced trader, Coinbase has you covered. Earn crypto and learn about crypto with Coinbase Earn. Explore DeFi and Web3 with Coinbase Wallet. Get exclusive rewards when you spend with Coinbase Card and much more. Learn more at coinbase.com/chess and get $10 in Bitcoin when you sign up and verify your account. We will verify that all of the players are registered and ready to go. And that means we will go on a short break. When we come back, we will have round 1 of the Saturday Swiss. I can't wait. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. The Saturday Swiss coming up on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Right as the games begin, one last look here at the standings. Fabi right top with 39 points. He's got a pretty big lead. Impressive. And he is playing tonight. It's not night yet. He's playing today.
Today. Yes, he is. And but a lot of the people who are close by are in Berlin and are not playing, which gives some of the people on the outside looking in a chance, Danya. And who is attempting to qualify?
Well, I mean, you're going to have the same players who played last week. A lot of them are playing again. Andreikin Matlikov. Andreikin is number 3 seeded, so he's going to have a shot. Alexei Seirawan, his name is always in the mix as well, but he hasn't had much success yet. Arham Maksudla Grishuk is still in, is still in the mix. He hasn't made his voice heard yet in the RCC, but there's so many weeks left. You could have a complete turnaround in the next couple of weeks.
And they're off. Which game are we going to follow?
So this is Dariusz Szwirch, whom you know as well, right? Against
exactly.
Fabi.
Oh, very nice. Definitely Dariusz played in his U.S. championship. And it was nice to see him as he's a student, but I'm not sure. Is it Webster that he goes to?
It's one of the St. Louis universities.
St. Louis, yeah, it could be St. Louis as well. Shame on me. I'm sure as soon as I get to St. Louis, Alejandro is going to pound me and say, dude, that's my guy.
Right. How dare you? Yes, sir. I was listening to the RCC commentary and you forgot which university Dariusz is connected. I had to stop watching.
Exactly. Ooh, this is an interesting little nuance there with this early bishop f5.
A little, this is not something you see every day. And White was trying to move order block into a Philidor or a Perk. And
with E2,
Fabi said, no. Nope.
I'll put my bishop on f5 first.
Yep, and h6. But White still wants to go e4, I think. White is not playing this with c4. White wants to play bishop d3 and then e4. And I wonder if Fabi, I was going to say g5 or e5, and there's your answer.
I definitely like g5, and I definitely like e7, e6. Oops, never mind. I was about to say e7, e6. Something about that pawn being nicely on f5, but okay, there was still queen d3. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe bishop takes d3. By the way, queen takes d3 came a la tempo. Right decision? I would have at least paused to consider c2 takes d3.
Yeah, and queen b3. That's an idea which recurs frequently in the Jabava London, which I like to play. That's knight c3, bishop f4.
Right.
So maybe something to consider there. Now Dariush goes h4. Maybe he's trying to compensate for the fact that he spent 40 seconds on move one. Maybe getting that last bit of coffee in his system before he has to face Fabi.
Gotcha. G4, and if the queen were on D1, by the way, knight H2 is often the choice there, just to provoke H5 and maybe make F2, F3 a little bit more powerful. Anyway. I was about to say knight H5 has my attention because the H pawn is hanging and the bishop's not moving in that case. Now, whether you're going to take the bishop is another point. Very intriguing. You were mentioning the Jobava London, and oftentimes castles long appears, and that's what Dariush has done. Queen e7 suggests to me that Fabi's got the same idea in mind.
I like what you did there.
Yeah, he's not going king side with that king pawn shield thrusts so far forwards. By the way, hard to be critical in a rapid where you just can't think too much on every move. But instead of the move castles, the move queen b5, just to irritate. And if I provoke rook b8 and then I castle, yeah, then your king, that is to say the black king, is not going queenside and going kingside. I'm not a fan. Okay, right. But he did play. He did play knight b5 in order to stop Fabi from castling queenside. Then came knight b6, knight c4, and to my eyes, it looks to me like White's having the fun here, Danya.
White's definitely having the fun, and you can see that Fabi is clearly playing for a win with black. I think this is a correction from last week where he drew the first two games, maybe played a little bit in his eyes too solidly. Okay. And this time, he wants to get off on the right foot. Now he does end up castling short, so he kind of faked him out. And I'll be honest with you, Yasser, I'm not sure about this whole knight b5 campaign, because now it could be fuel for the fire. As Fabi can start his attack, as you say, all tempo means he played the move fast with tempo.
Right, with tempo. Okay, but yes, true. I'll give you a6, I'll give you b5. But the point is, while you're playing a6, b5 with some kinds of purpose of getting at me, all I've got to do is go f3, bishop f4, bishop g5. And I'm making, gladiatorial gains on the king. You've gone a6, b5. Who knows? Maybe you'll hurt my feelings with b5, b4, or maybe c7, c5. But I'm definitely landing some haymaker. Ooh,
there's the first haymaker. But he goes bishop e5, not through f4 and g5. The engine likes that move.
The engine likes bishop e5.
Yeah, I think so. In the same line that White's attack outweighs anything the black can do on the queen side, and Dariush now sending his knight over to f4. That's the setup that he's going for. Bishop on e5, right. Knight on f4, and then the h5 pawn is going to be under his watchful gaze and violent gaze.
Violence. Can't blame him for that, certainly. And wow, look at this: c5, c4, c5, c4, b4. He's really going full hog over there. But will he be able to pry open the queen side? I mean, again, White's going to probably slip in king a1. So it means that he's ready to recapture on c3 with the b pawn. So king a1, followed by knight f4, and well,
yeah, but can black play a4 anyway and sacrifice the b4 pawn, just shove this pawn down to a3 in the name of opening up as much territory as I can? I mean,
exactly. Definitely legal. Definitely legal.
The eval bar did not like that move, and it's actually because of a4.
Wow. For me, king a1 is kind of in the spirit of white setup, right? So that just anytime b4 takes c3 happens, b2 takes c3 is an easy response. a4, cb4, a3. Oh, he's offering an exchange.
Whoa.
Rook b8.
Rook b8. That is a bold move right there.
Okay.
That is a bold move.
Well, it does take this sting out of knight f4 now. And he said, okay. So Fabi, what can I say? He's coming out all guns blazing.
Yeah,
wow.
Nico are skeptical, saying, well, I don't really see a way for black to follow through on the sacrifice. Now, another byproduct of it, positive byproduct, is that it's harder to get to the h5 pawn. So now,
precisely,
in the absence of this bishop, white has to take a longer time getting that king side open, which is still something Darius wants to do, I assume. But first he defends, rook b1.
Yeah, rook b1 is one of those prophylactic moves. It's not necessarily saying that I'm going to play b2, b3, but it does say that, whoa.
Black. Okay.
Whoa. Normally speaking, a move like that, voluntarily shutting down the queen side is not to be recommended.
And the issue is that Fabi, I think, wants to put the queen on a4 and sack on a3, but Darius, all he has to do there is
what he's doing, get it out of the way.
Right. First of all, he's going to be faster, and I'm just skeptical that this is going to work out for black.
Big time, because as you pointed out, the move e3, e4 is white's gateway to black's king side. E3, e4, and queen g5 check. Now that you put your bishop on f8, intending, we all understand, bishop takes a3, but queen g5 check would land with force. Here we go.
So concretely, queen a4, I assume e4.
Gotta play e4.
Yeah, this is winning for white. E4, bishop takes a3. And now here, and the problem, white can just take the bishop, and after queen a3, go knight c1 and say, you got nothing on me, b2, knight a2. But let's go back to the game, because Fabi has gone bishop h6. He's gone completely the other direction.
I think he's losing. Of course, I think he realized much too late that his whole setup of bishop f8, queen a4 was just too slow, simply too slow.
And it was unnecessary. He had a4. He could have only sacrificed the pawn and done more than he did with the whole exchange sacrifice.
Okay, here I'm more than tempted to take on g4, knight takes g4, take on h5. It's not that I'm just winning a pawn, it's that I'm also really looking at this move queen e2. I also like queen e2, by the way. I think both queen e2 and takes on g4 really look really good. Okay, once again, we take on g4. I'm assuming knight takes.
Queen takes on h5 is now a threat.
And queen takes, yes, that's exactly it. Queen g4 is a killer threat. And if you defend that threat, I don't know, somehow with, say, a move like king h8, I could trade knights with knight f6.
Yeah, this is a complete and utter disaster, unmitigated disaster for Fabi.
Queen h5
check. Bishop g7.
covering f6. I'm sorry, covering f6. Okay, here it's sort of like this. We're looking for the snap, crackle, pop, right?
Well, it appears that there might not be anything sort of immediate, but maybe just knight g7 and queen f3, and enjoying an extra exchange.
Yeah, that's good material grabbings there. Queen F3. It's unusual that there's a pawn on B3. So the one thing is the back rank mate. That I mean, you don't want to go like Queen F7 and lose to some stupid back rank mate tactic. But yes, I like your Queen F3, just sidestepping the e-file action and looking to play, well, in the very near future, H5 and maybe on a good day, Rook H4.
Yeah, this is looking great. Of course, I'm keeping an eye on the other results. This has been a really interesting game, so I have no problem with us focusing on this game this round. And I don't think anybody else does, but we've got Alexei Seirawan winning. Kamsky and Kavalyev have made a draw. Polina Shavalova, I think the strongest female player in this tournament. Her and Kosteniuk are comparable, over 2,500. She won, I think, by forfeit, because I saw she had 1 out of 1 in like 2 minutes. So I'll check in on that after the round.
Right. Now here, just because the e-file is open and rooks love open files as opposed to the semi-open file that the rook on F1 is, I would have been, in a bullet game, rook E1 would have come instantly by instead of H5. Not that anything is wrong with H5, but I want to get rid of that posted rook on E4, or maybe worm my way Queen F4, Queen G5 after rook E4, D4. But now Queen E6, and Fabi's, well,
can I get rook E1 now, please?
He's trying to set up some kinds of fortresses. Queen G3.
Okay. So rook E1 still being prepared potentially, or rook F4.
Right. I suppose.
Still on tap.
If I'm in black shoes, I wouldn't have played King H6 necessarily, but I might have played F5, just trying to, I don't know, secure the knight. I think Fabi's trick is rook F4, rook E3, and in case of Queen G4, rook E1 check hurts feelings.
Right, and Dariush sees through that and goes Queen B8. So now he threatens a monster check on H8 that might force Fabi's king back.
Right,
and then maybe you shove that H pawn down to H6 and create anchor points for your queen. Where's the knockout? It's like it's winning, but there's no immediate knockout, and the time is starting to dwindle.
I think Queen F8 is the first step. Queen F8 introduces rook F7. Oops.
Right.
And then H6 introduces Queen G7, mate. So I think H6.
That was a mistake. And because Queen G6 creates an extra in King A1, there's Knight E3, and the knight traveling to C2, and black creates massive chances. And Fabi missed it.
Fabi missed it.
But this is not a bad move. Rook takes B2, as you say, is on tap, and that will lead to a perpetual because the king cannot take the rook. There's going to be a mate. And you're going to have to step to A1, and then the rook chases the king. And white has to find Queen F4.
Hold on. That could be winning for black. Rook B2, King A1, Rook A2, King B1, Queen E4. So that's why you're pointing out the move Queen F4. Oh, H6 was the wrong move. Queen F7, I think, was the killer. But H6 was just mistimed. And now this threat of Rook B2 has the potential to turn the tables. It's terrible. Fabi was an exchange and a pawn down, and that was it. If you had just, if Dariush had played rook E1, traded rooks, there would never be this counterplay. But you give these 2800s that small gap in the window, they crawl right through.
Doesn't matter what it is, anything. And Dariush now with a minute and a half, he's got only move to not lose, and that's Queen F4, as you said, covering that E4 square so that there's no mate.
Wow.
You find it. How the tables have turned.
Yes, indeed. They sure have.
1 minute now for Dariush. Is he panicking? Is he thinking, how did I possibly allow this? I was totally winning.
Correct. And that's also one of the problems when you have blundered so badly.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, Knight F2 wins for black, apparently.
What?
Knight F2.
Rook
F2, Queen G6. Whoop. Pin.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh, Darush is cold shower, man. Just cold shower. By the way, that whole Queen G6 Knight F2, that is nothing short of devilish. That is just because White is threatening Queen F7, and he finds
right.
it.
And he finds it, and that's also what these 2800 do. They don't satisfy that. Okay, we can make a draw. That's fine. No.
Ooh, perpetual. I'm out of here.
They play that sword to the hilt, and
yeah,
Fabi is going to win this game. That's unbelievable.
Truly,
I'm glad we watched.
and you know, seriously, these Swiss events are so strong. They're terrifyingly strong, and to win them, you need a little luck. And this puts the wind in your sails. You win a round one game where you are totally busted.
Oh yeah, no, totally does.
You feel like the world's on your side suddenly. Okay, that's Queen a nice E4? Move. Queen E4. Queen takes E4. Knight takes E4. You can take the pawn on F7 with check, but after King G6, the knight on C3, the pawn on C3 is hanging. There's a knight on D2 check, and I think Fabi's found another way of doing the same business.
Similar, yeah.
Without, well, actually, he still loses the F7 pawn. Queen takes F7 does transpose, but yes,
that's it. King takes G6, and it's all over. There's too many threats with that knight, knight D2, and knight C3 cannot be defended against.
Remarkable.
This time. He's going to lose on time as well. Unbelievable turnaround, and Fabi wins. Knight D2, B2.
Knight D2,
he promotes to a
B2.
queen.
B2 with a check.
Right.
Oh, Danya.
Oh my God, what a brutal way to go.
And for Darush, I mean, you know, again, you know, he's thinking like, oh, I can tickle these guys.
Right.
And he can, as he just demonstrated, but losing that game could end your tournament.
My goodness.
In round one. It's
mate. Literally ends with mate.
Wow.
Oh, what an incredible round. And that was the last game of the round. So this was the highlight of the rounds. We had Andreikin winning, Matlikov winning. Most of the favorites won. I'll talk more extensively about any upsets that we saw the other side of the break. But next round is starting very shortly. So we need to go on break. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Round 2 of 9. Coming up in just a couple of seconds. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. It's time for round 2. Round 2 is underway. And we've got, as I said, most of the favorites having won round 1, although you can hardly call their losses in round 1 an upset. They're already facing GMs. And Yasser, I pulled up here the game between last week's winner, Maxim Matlikov, who's got black, and he has it against Jordan Van Forest. Not a slouch in his own right.
Not at all. Jordan's been playing very well of late, as they both are in a very topical. Would you call this classical two knights? What Sicilian is this
was
called?
a check. I think this is a check over. Queen takes d4 in this position.
Queen takes d4 and then bishop g5. Yeah, I'm still sorry, everybody. For those of you joining us a little late, I'm still in shock over the come from behind victory that we just witnessed of our number one seed Fabiano. As
remarkable.
I just felt nothing but pain for Darush as he let a completely winning game slip. Fabi, once he had the draw in hand, he played for the win and showing us why he's the number one seed. Queen a5, by the way, sets up a nasty little trap. Don't think about grabbing the bishop on c6 because, I was about to say.
But I am thinking about it.
Yeah, I thought there was this intermezzo, but I forgot.
The hunter becomes the hunted.
Yes, exactly.
Black has this, so maybe it liquidates in a draw. That's welcome to chess.
Exactly. At first, I thought queen takes g5 was hanging a bishop with check, and I'll pick up the knight on c6, but it doesn't. As you point out, f2, f4 does come with a tempo. Although this has the look and feel of something that could be completely theoretical, my first impression, Danya, is that Black's opening has been great, that he simply stands, in my view, very, very well indeed.
Yeah, and I think it's important not to be fooled by the presence of a knight on e5 and think, oh, well, that's impressive, because that knight, its potency is limited. Black's got the queen side nicely open. Rook can come to c8.
Exactly.
b5, you can set that pawn in motion. White's attack is quite a bit more nebulous. I mean, if White pushes the pawn to h5, Black can respond with h6. And that's why the Sicilian is a good opening. He plays h6 straight away.
Yeah, you often find yourselves in these counter-attacking situations, and where the kings are on opposite flanks, it's often about who gets there firstest with the mostest. And as you were mentioning, with the half-open c file already, Black has let us say a gateway on the queen side, the c file, rook fc8, whereas White still has to go g4, f4, g5, h5, and try to pry things open over there on the king side. h7, h6. That was what Wilhelm Steinitz told you not to do. Don't unnecessarily advance the pawns in front of your king. What he meant is the pawn on h6 becomes a kind of a target. Now you start to immediately think g4, g5, and you can pry things open. But did he make was that a fault, or was that a good decision in your view, Danya?
Well, I mean, the email bar didn't dislike it, and now I think that what Malakov is thinking is that he's just going to be faster. He can afford to make this weakness because White's not going to have enough time to exploit it. And this is what I'm kind of seeing. For example, now where do you put the queen? If you play queen f4, there might be tactics already with the knight coming to d5. Now the pawn on a2 is saying, now you
a2.
Probably, wait a second, can you take it?
No,
probably not.
really?
It's probably not. But even if you take d5.
Yeah, I'm thinking you recapture on d5, whether with the rook or with the bishop. a2 is on pre. Not so easy to defend a2. Something like bishop a3 is kind of hurtful. And again, I'm not getting in g5. g4, g5. Queen
I think this was actually a very good bet, queen e3.
Queen e3. Okay, here I can imagine that knight d5. I didn't want to trade on d5, but I could potentially just play queen e2. Oh my gosh, h4 is hanging too. How crazy is that? The bishop is actually really nice on e7.
Yeah, lording over the whole position. Bishops are great in general. They can just do everything at once.
Open positions. Okay, big moment here for Black as he's thinking, can I just play bishop takes d5, provoke a3, for example? And after a move like a3, can I snip a pawn? rook takes d5.
So he banks on, he prefers to get the d file, and the h4 pawn is still hanging, as is the a2 pawn.
Right.
This is
Still a
still very
double threat.
unpleasant for white.
Exactly.
a3.
A3.
And now the big question, because taking on h4 also has the indirect benefit of preventing white from going g5.
Precisely. That's what I wanted to get in as well. It's not just that you're winning a pawn, which, excuse me, sign me up. You had me at winning a pawn.
Right.
It's also,
but wait, there's
you
more.
stop you stop white from making the advance g5, because now g5, of course, is a second collection. You just go bishop takes g5, and that's an easy gain for black. So bishop takes h4, wins a pawn, and stops the attack. White's going from bad to worse here. It's not pretty.
Malikov is on a roll, and you could just sense the confidence in his play. He's winning with both colors. He's better. Let's maybe have a quick look at some of the other top games as we got a little lull in the action here.
Right.
Ray Robson won the first game. He hasn't made his voice heard yet. Let's not forget about Ray Robson. He's a beast.
Definitely. Ray, nice to see him in the competition. Knight to e4.
Seirawan with the white pieces here.
Yeah, one of these isolated queen pawn positions, but I'm not used to seeing the move g6 and a black bishop stuck on the b8 square. Like, put that pawn back on g7, please, and
right.
and slap the man hand who put it on g6 to begin with. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of black pieces hovering on the king side, and I'm thinking after knight e5, there is knight f4 as a defensive move. But at first I wanted to say that my gut tells me that knight e5, I'm rather happy with black's position. Your knee-jerk thought here.
Well, I'm also looking at Ray's clock, and knowing, I talked to Ray a little bit, and he's struggled tremendously with his clock management in these 10-minute, in this 10-minute time control. And you can see it here, 3.5 minutes to 7 for Alexei. But it feels like someone's going to lose a piece here. There's just too much going on. Something's about to happen. Is g5 possible here? Probably g5. There's bishop takes c4 and knight f takes e6. I wanted to try to stick a knight on d3, but probably there isn't enough time for black to do it.
Right.
No, I like white's position here.
Because of this very nice two knights. For me, I'm liking black's position. I just like the knight on e4, the pawn on h3. I'm thinking that if I play, I want two moves. I want to cheat. I really want to cheat. I want to play like that move and bishop to d7. Actually, I wanted to keep. Ooh, he sank his knight in on g3.
Right, h4 was also hanging, and now Alexei's sinking his own knight into e5.
Yeah, again, that pawn on g6 is more than bothersome, because that bishop on b2, you can imagine the knight on d4 dropping back to f3, the knight on e5 dropping back to g4, and suddenly
oh god, sign me up for that.
Yeah, and suddenly the cavalry are looking beastly. I think this the tide has turned here, and
this is bad for Ray.
Yeah,
bad. No time. He's in big trouble, and I think Alexei objectively might not be the hugest advantage we've ever seen, but there's so many ways to create threats, and when you've got 2 minutes with no increment, your chances are limited. Let's pop into
knight to g4 played, by the way. Yep.
Right, knight g4, threatening knight f6. If anything crazy happens in this game, we'll return to it. Maybe a quick glance at Fabi's game.
Absolutely, our number 1 seed, delighting his fans with an amazing come from behind win in round 1 that had us, Danya, shaking our head and just saying, thank goodness it wasn't me who lost that
Exactly.
game. I mean, I feel so bad for Darush, but I'm so happy I wasn't the victim. What do we got?
Well, we've got a bishop versus knight situation. I'm still trying to count the pawns like 2 minutes into looking at this position. White is up a pawn, technically.
It's doubled. Yep, it's true. Yep. White is up a pawn, but with the presence of the queens, and that was my question. If I were White, would I be wanting to trade queens? Who wants the queen trade here?
Yeah. They're I don't think either of the players knows. They're just sort of sitting there. Okay, Black does grab the queen and goes king f6, but now I thought there was the move rook g1, which he just
back
played.
to g1, right?
And you want to swing this rook up to g5.
You do.
Black can't really take that pawn. No, this looks pretty unpleasant for Black. Maybe drawable, but unpleasant.
Right.
I
was thinking to take king back to e6, rook h5, knight to f6, with the dream of, let's say, rook h6, king f5, and maybe on a good day, the knight could go to d5 and do some damage. But I agree with you. The extra pawn definitely makes White a favorite here. And knights hate these h pawns and a pawns to deal with. So Fabi came out on top in this ending.
Yeah, this is looking great for Fabi. I'm going to open up a couple other games. Okay, Jose is going to win this one against Polina Shabalova. This one seems like it's almost over. And we also have Dmitry Andreikin locked in a end game against Amin Tabatabai. And Black is trying to win this, I think.
Yeah, those double rooks on the 7th rank. He just played the move rook d2, but it's obvious he could have played rook b2 and it always had at least a perpetual in his favor. So, but now the question is this really winning for why should this be better for Black?
No, I don't think it is with this pawn on a4.
Exactly. I'm looking at that pawn on a4.
That draw doesn't sound all that bad anymore. Give me that draw now, please.
Exactly.
I'll take draw for 500, Alex.
Yes, exactly. And now suddenly it's White who's saying, hey, wait a minute. The most important pawn on the board is in my possession. I'm the one with the pack. Whoa. Okay, he's looking at a check and a rook to a1 in order to get his king.
What if I start with king e2?
You're going to have to go rook to d5 as I see it. And Black does not ever want to put his rook back on d8 to defend the a pawn, because then it's going to end up on rook a8. He needs the Black rook to draw the game. Black has got to put his rook behind the a pawn.
Rooks behind pawns, and exactly. I think Dmitry is going to hold this. Yeah. This is basically a draw offer.
Before. Oh, okay, yeah. That is absolutely a draw offer.
And that's it. We're going to have some sort of a perpetual. We have Alexander Grishuk, who's still playing, and he drew the first game. I think he might have played Gata. That's a great first round pairing. Oh, you're playing Gata Kamsky in round 1.
Yeah, 5-time U.S. champion, the former challenger to the world champions. Oh, boy. Yeah. And Gata, he's making his home in Moscow these days, Danya?
I think so. Yeah.
Sorry. I was about to say, some time ago, gosh, it's been a while, but some time ago, he said, I'm going to be retiring. I won't be playing in U.S. championships. I won't be playing on the Olympic teams. I will, on occasion, play events like this. But professional chess is too hard. It takes too much time, too much energy. And Gata essentially said that his professional career was coming to a close, drawing to a close.
Right. That makes sense. And I just pulled up Alexei's game again because there was a lot of stuff happening. I think Seirawan is going to win this with queen f6, and then we'll switch back to Gata's game. Yeah, this looks like it's over. I meant Grishuk's game. But queen f6 here, I think, just ends the game.
It looks like a
crazy,
very, very strong move, by the way. queen takes and check.
Oh gosh. Ray with 8 seconds also. Queen f6, knight h6, and there's mate on c7.
Correct. Rook c7 is the killer.
Oh, Fabi drew, by the way, so he was unable to convert that endgame.
Ooh.
And Grishuk is in trouble.
Well, absolutely. No question about it. And that last move really... I was even thinking, bishop b5 and bishop e8.
White's king is so much closer.
That's got to be winning. I think black simply loses both his kingside pawns as bishop e8, king e5, and I probably even throw in h2, h4 just to make sure that black
You've got the time for it.
Right? I mean, unfortunately, from black's perspective, his king on a3 is totally out.
This is over. I mean, sometimes in these positions, black can throw the pawn to h4, give it up like that, but I definitely would play h4 here. He starts with king e3, and I think he's going to follow up with h4 and bishop e8.
Agreed.
Wow. Grishuk just not having his way. No, he doesn't play it.
I'm surprised. Maybe he's thinking, you know what? Go ahead and play your h4. I'll take it.
Or even g4?
I will play g4. I would take it. I always have this fear that when there's an h pawn with bishops that I'll mess it up.
It's the wrong color pawn. So I think king f6 here is crucial to prevent. I mean, if black's king reaches f8, then black can give the bishop up for one of the h pawns.
Exactly.
And now white's just in time.
Grishuk I saw a kind of a hand like, oh dear. I mean, it surprises me that Grishuk might have thought that he was saving that, because I didn't see any salvation there whatsoever. No. I thought that was just gone. But he kind of made this gesture just at the very end, like, oh man, I lose a tempo.
Right.
This is what is this, Danya?
This
king
is
h6.
Paramen's Kamsky, and king h6 is that draw.
There is a check. And I go check.
And queen g5, but then e4 hangs. Parham's going to flag him, though. Yeah, so Gada's going to get flagged here.
Uh-oh.
He's got h4. He's got to simplify as quickly as he can.
If I take the queen, whose king lands on b6 fast?
It's like two Model Ts, racing.
Yeah. Model Ts, I like that.
Yeah, but can he make a draw here? He's got 12 seconds. Parham's going to try everything not to repeat. But
I don't see how you draw.
Yeah.
I don't see how you stop king c6. Don't play it.
Oh, and Rev with 4 seconds trying to deliver checkmate. Oh, he's got to move. No.
Take the queen.
Oh, he's not going to make it. But he took all of black's pieces. It's a draw.
Exactly.
Wow. Dariush escapes with the draw. And that concludes round 2. Fabi also nicked for a draw. So already not a lot of people with the perfect score. And we will see how these players do as they have gotten their feet wet. They're warmed up. Round 3 starts soon. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We'll be back with round 3 in a jiffy. Rapid Chess Championship is brought to you by Coinbase. Whether you're looking to make your first crypto purchase or you're an experienced trader, Coinbase has you covered. Earn crypto by learning about crypto with Coinbase Earn. Explore DeFi and Web3 with Coinbase Wallet. Get exclusive rewards when you spend with Coinbase Card and much, much more. Learn more at coinbase.com/chess and get $10 in Bitcoin when you sign up and verify your account. All right, it is round 3 of the Saturday Swiss of the Rapid Chess Championship. There's only 3 players with 2 out of 2. And Yasser, we have here the 2 of the leaders who are playing each other. Matlakov against Jasmine, with Seirawan dropping down to play Fabi.
Dropping down.
Dropping down, yeah. He's playing a weak, yeah.
Yeah. These first 2 rounds for me, Danya, have really exemplified all that is really good and cool and fun, and all that is wrong with rapid chess both. I mean, we've been seeing, some roller coaster ups and downs, and that first round with Fabi that game that we focused on with Darush. I mean, I feel hard. I mean, that was harsh for Darush, because he played such a wonderful game up to a certain moment, had Fabi in the crosshairs, just everything but the last rights, and Fabi swindled not a draw but a win out of that. And then at the same time too, we're seeing some really nice endgame play. We can, watching these guys, and they just blitz out their endgame knowledge, and it's like, wow, it goes to show how studying the endgame can really benefit you so with points. This opening, and I forgot the name of it. I used to actually play it with Black.
Is it Pogo Indian?
Yeah, but it's this early C5. So it's a bishop B4, bishop D2, C5. Then they take, and then you take.
Right.
Yeah, and you get this crazy unbalance. I had a bad experience, and I think it was like with Jan Elvis. If you look at the game position, Jan played knight on F3 to E1, and then knight on E1 to D3.
That's what he's doing.
And it was sort of like I was always on the back foot. I didn't have space. I didn't have, and Rook B1. It's easy to see where Whites play, and well, I swindled a draw. I remember Jan was somehow reluctant to try to win, and I didn't understand it. But I'm just saying that this maneuver knight E1 to D3 is what put me off this defense.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. And here, I think Jose, for that reason, tries to strike with E5, and the structure changes again as White goes D5. The knight, Josman wants to swing that knight around to C5 ideally, but you might not have time for that.
Right. And it's this move, Rook B1, that's really making it that little bit more awkward. Again, the knight is going to come to D3. Maybe the pawn goes to E4, and also the other pawn with the knight on D3 gets to slip up to the F4 square. So knight D3, E4, and F2, F4 would more or less be an ideal situation.
Apparently, this is the Vittelinch.
Right. That's what it, and it was first played against me by a one Mark Ginsburg, by the way. I don't know if you ever
played him.
You did? Okay.
Yeah,
Mark Ginsburg played in my US Junior Championships, and he pulled it out on me, surprised me, got a decent game, and I thought, wow, I'm going to try it myself.
Right. It seems pretty good. Right.
Okay. Somehow but Black got clipped for a pawn, but he got this really tremendous knight on C5 in return. And I'm not so sure White should have made that trade. Maybe he should have just gone with the flow, kept knight coming to D3. At the moment, it just feels to me like, okay, this is compensation.
This is definitely compensation. This big knight on C5. Black's contesting the B file. White's kind of stuck on E1, and I think that's why Matlakov went Queen C2. He wants to get that knight to d3, at least to coordinate his back rank.
Exactly.
And but I agree. I think, Black can move the bishop out of the way and then support the knight with knight ft7. By the way,
Right.
a lot has been happening in the Fabi game, so
Please.
I just wanted to switch real fast because I thought it was going to be a dead draw, and all of a sudden now Fabi is again creating chances out of nowhere.
Remarkable.
He has Black here.
Well, I mean, obviously, the H pawn and the E pawn are both tender, and White decided to give up.
I believe that's called a fork, old chap.
Yeah, to tickle the E pawn, to tickle the F6 pawn, but isn't the pawn just going to go to F5 after Rook takes E4?
No.
So, I thought he was planning to play Rook F4. He put his bishop on F4.
And now King B4. Well, in the opinion of international master,
I'm a pawn ahead.
Now, King takes A4 isn't really a threat at the moment because of C3 with a discovered check.
Right.
So, or maybe it is. Fabi deciding not to play around. He defends it. White's very active, though. White's king is active. And the question is, can Black make any progress here whatsoever?
Always hard to win these bishops of opposite color position. But you know what? I like it. I like Black's chances here. I thought, by the way, before the move King D5, I thought that if you played King B5, he's going to go bishop to D1, and I thought that's really clever, to bring the bishop around
to D3 to B3.
Yeah, I thought, my goodness, that's sharp. But he went for a Rook H1. I think he's missed Bishop H2. I don't think the Rook on H1 has real purpose. And
yeah, it's just sort of.
No, I think he definitely missed this beautiful move, Bishop H.
This should be a draw. I mean, Fabi has the nominal edge still because White's pawns are totally immobile, but that F pawn is never moving past F4. That is a checkpoint that you're not getting your car through that.
Thou shall not pass.
No passer on.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. The king on F4, the dark squared blockade. You're right. Nominally speaking, you are a pawn up. The F6 pawn at least is a passer. The B2 pawn is never going to be effective. But the dark squared blockade is just too strong. Whoa. Why didn't he put his king on F4? That is a mistake.
Where is he? He's adventuring to the queen side. Just put it on F4. You can go to dinner.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Well, we can entrust Alexei to hold this position. And in the meantime,
E4.
back in our other top game.
E4 was played to stop that knight D3 move that you mentioned. And makes a lot lot
I was counting defenders and attackers. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
It works. Spoiler alert.
Yes. Also, the black pawn on E4 does shut down the bishop on G2, which is making life unhappy for the knight on E1. That is not a happy knight, but you just pointed out what would make the knight very happy is knight to C2, knight to D4. Now, knight to C2 is going to run into rook to B2. There are issues. It doesn't just magically appear. So we start with queen E5, anticipating knight C2 question mark, rook B2. But F4.
That's a bold move.
That definitely spices things up.
Now, his idea is that if Black takes en passant and says, White's got new weaknesses. Well, yes, but now you let my knight, you gave it a free first-class ticket to D4, and I'm not sure Jose is too hot on that.
Right. He may just drop back with the queen and say, okay, you got to play the move F2, F4 for free, but are you happy? Because now the pawn on E3 may be a long-term weak target for, let's say, a knight coming to G4. But in any case, I do like what you said. Drop the queen back. An potential argument to be made for queen E8 too, by the way. The crazy part about queen E8 is that you could then go rook to B3 and queen to B8.
Wow.
if you needed to play for the rook b2 escapade.
What an interesting regrouping. And f4, a big decision. I like it. It's gotten Jose to think. He's probably thinking more along the lines of which square to choose for the queen rather than whether he should play e takes f3.
Exactly. That's what I think so as well. It's kind of nice from Black's point of view. You go queen e7, h5, bishop h5, and you start thinking about h4. The problem whenever you go bishop f5, knight b5 shuts down the b file, and I really think that Black needs to put a rook on b3 to have full compensation. And if the knight does get to b5, I can imagine Black getting very unhappy.
Right, and queen h5 chosen.
I didn't guess that one.
Yeah, he goes the other way. I was going to ask you, on the subject of long things, there are these stories back in the old days with the bigger time controls of players taking, over an hour to think about a move.
Yes.
Do you remember anything was that true? Did that actually happen?
Oh, yes. And by far the worst culprit was Viktor Korchnoi. And he had this amazing game. And I should remember the game. Essentially, he's white. And he's going to go queen e3 check, followed by queen e4 check, followed by queen f4 check, followed by... He's going to ladder check his way up. No, not a perpetual. He's ladder checking his way up the board. Just a simple ladder check, get to a position, and then play the big kahuna, whatever it is. And Victor thinks for an hour and 20 minutes. Right? Like,
okay.
Like, what? And I asked him after the game, Victor, my God, I mean, you just spent more than half your... So the time control was 2 hours and 30 minutes for 40 moves. And then you have an adjournment period. Right. So he thought more than 50% of his time, an hour and 40 minutes. He thought for more than 50% of his time on one move. And I said, well, why did you spend so long? And it was like this difference between checking him first on the f4 square,
right,
or checking him like on the e3 square first.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go strangle you, throw you in the swimming pool, get out of here. What an idiot. But it was hilarious. And there were many people who had such, egregiously long things. Victor by far was the worst of them, but he was not. Not alone. He was not alone. He was in good company. By the way, Knight
in the meantime,
got to c2, but that did invite the move rook b2, which Black has played. So we're assuming the rook wants to stay active. So we're assuming rook a2.
Well, you can pull a Viktor Korchnoi rook b3 or rook a2. Now, if you go knight b3, then there's queen c3. That would be a blunder, and that's part of the reason for Maxim's last move. But now, if white plays knight c2, then you go knight b3.
Precisely.
And white has no moves because queen f2 runs into knight g4. That's
exactly what I was thinking as well. That sets a very nasty trap. Now, even if you don't fall for that trap, alert, Will Robinson, bishop a4.
Oh, how do you...
Yeah.
You've got less than 2 minutes, and Malikov is in mortal danger here.
For sure. And we were just talking about his success in the previous Rapid Championship tournament. He won them all with Black.
Yeah.
Dude was amazing. Dude was amazing. I mean, wow. You go to these Olympics. I played in 10 Olympics, by the way. You go to these Olympics, and the formula has always been draw with Black, put pressure on your opponent with white. I mean, that's been the tried and true formula. Queen to c1.
Bishop a4 looks amazing here.
Yeah, my spidey senses are tingling here. This looks really good for Black. Knight can jump to d3. There's a knight There's also a knight g4 in the offing.
Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking is bishop a4, force the knight out, take
Right.
that knight,
Precisely.
and now go knight g4. And the point is, you've got
There
him.
you go.
You've got
That's
him
it.
forked.
That's the puzzle rush.
Forked.
You got it. That's what I saw as well. Nice, Danya.
Tactics
Bishop
alert.
a4.
Mm-hmm.
And bishop a4, you already pointed out, when something jumps to f2, rook f2, bishop a4, rook f2, that knight g4 hits h2 and f2 at once.
Right. Right. But he's taking his time. He's got a minute and a half. Remember, no increment. There he goes. Bishop a4, step one. Step
Right.
two is to take that knight on d1.
That's it.
Now, white doesn't have to take with the queen. White probably has to take with the rook, but that doesn't change the fact that
knight
g4.
Knight g4 is a killer.
Oh, but he went it. He played it first. h3.
Bishop d1 gives me
there's
the option
queen
hg4.
b1.
What?
There's
what?
the move queen b1,
No.
threatening checkmate, and that gets white back into the game. He missed it. That was a hard move to play. Oh my goodness.
Queen b1. Oh my word. With the
But now
tickle?
there's that rook takes g2 move, and now black is winning again.
No, exactly. He has to be winning. I mean, come on. That's like one of the best exchange sacrifices
Right.
I've ever seen in my life.
Right. Just make some luft. Don't take this knight.
Right. That's
Make
the
some
one.
luft.
Right. And he did it nice. With the luft, I mean.
And black should win this handily.
Boy,
Take
one of
bishop h3.
one of the great techniques in those situations, by the way, is to just, pick up all of the pawns that you can. Just scoop up as many as you can.
Right.
F5. Okay.
f4.
F4.
Knight b7. If he wants to defend the pawn, he can. He probably should.
Well, I was just thinking, is it necessary? Aren't these four connected passers just going to, win the game by themselves? It's like
They will. Well,
there was this marvelous video game. I loved it as a kid. It was called Space Invaders.
oh, okay. Heard of it.
It kind of goes some kind of music like out of Jaws as the space and go deeper into your territory, and you shoot them up. Man, I must have spent like $100 at least on quarters on that machine. But man, was it a fun game. I'm seeing Space Invaders here. E2.
Well, knight g1, king g4.
Knight G1,
He played it. Nice. He didn't promote.
My God, promoting to a queen would have really been snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
In a bullet game, that's possible, but he had enough time.
Right. He realized it.
Rookie one.
Was a check.
F7. But white's got 7 seconds. He's not going to win this.
No.
If
He
anything,
might.
black has
He
fighting
might.
chances. He's going to try to keep his rook, but white should give up that queen for the rook. He had a chance. Take the rook.
He did it.
All right. He did.
You're a dyed in the true wool 1 minute bullet player. Give up your queen for that rook. Just give it up.
You've got 2 seconds. You better snatch that half a point. And that concludes round 3. The field at the top is thinned down. Nobody has a perfect score. We've got Bach and Joswin on 2.5. No, we have Joswin. My apologies. He's still got a perfect score. We will watch his game on the other side of this break. So, Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. 3 rounds in the books. Round 4 on the other side of this break. Chess.com is pleased to announce the return of the Junior Speed Chess Championship, the JSCC, presented by SIG. Watch the best of the next generation of chess stars battle for a spot in the main event of the SCC and share in a share of the $35K prize fund. It all gets started with the qualifiers beginning on March 31st, just a few days from now. Catch all the action right here on chess.com. I'll be commentating a lot of the JSCC. Can't wait for it to get started. Well, the RCC week 7 has already started. We are, in fact, 3 rounds in, and Yasser, 3 out of 3. Mr. Jospin, he's been doing amazing.
No question about it. Big applause. I mean, in this field, and we were talking about that earlier, it's a 29-player Swiss with 9 rounds of play. I mean, it means that the last round pairing could be a very strange one, as it's no doubts that people have played all against the top players. But all right, 3 out of 3 in this field. Impressive. And we have a hedgehog with light square bishops traded off. I
always struggle in these positions with black. Always. I mean, I was as a lifelong Sicilian player, this is the kind of thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Please, as a lifelong Sicilian player.
The only thing I was going to say is that when I was, young and green, I would hate it when people played Bishop B5 check against me. I would pray that they would go open Sicilian so I could attack. And I would play some old guy at the Mechanics Institute chess club. They'd go Bishop B5.
Trade off one set of minor pieces and take a little sting out of the position. Now, the funny part is I always liked the black side of the hedgehog. Mm-hmm. I thought to put the bishop on F8, you put the rook on E8, you go G6, and you kind of just hang out and wait for white to overextend, which he almost always did. It's very, very hard to keep your grip on a position for not 10 moves or 20 moves, but 30 and 40, and always not to allow an E5 or D5 kind of, or a B5 break. And very often I found my opponents mistiming their break, whether it be F5, whether it be E5. Sometimes my opponents would just, for whatever reasons, go A3, B4, and then they leave this big juicy C pawn behind.
Go Queen C7 and say thank you very much.
Right. So the hedgehog actually brought me a lot of success, and this move B5, as we see, black is looking at the knight on C3.
Now, sure.
Exactly.
Takes, and if you play rook C3, it's not hard to establish. You go knight C6, little fork town, and now a little trap town.
Yeah, well, that's why the rook usually goes to E8, the bishop usually goes to F8.
Whoa! So
really, you're away from that. But you made a very nice point that the knight C6 landing with that tempo is means that the B5 move was actually mistimed for black. Yeah, he's had to recapture.
I need to interrupt you, Esther. Apparently,
please.
And apparently, the game Hans Niemann against Rinat Jumabayev ended in 10 moves. What? Look at this! Oh my god! Now this is a Jababa London. Hans is an expert in this. Oh my god!
It's the old Greek gift, the bishop sacrifice.
But it wasn't a pre-move from him. He thought and missed it. Oh my god! I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is ridiculous. This is mate.
No, it's mate.
It's mate.
Sweet.
Jumabayev had a complete meltdown here.
You know, it's so you put your trust in the move E6, E5. You see the move E5 and you kind of stop. You hit the queen. If the queen goes, then you take the bishop, then you go knight F5, and you got plenty of defenses. And if you're blind to this move knight E6 check, which blocks the bishop, then it's the type of thing that you could lose until you see knight E6 check. You go,
yeah,
now I'm lost. And there's no recovery. It's just mate. Yeah, you don't get to play anymore.
Oh my goodness, what a ridiculous! I mean, you just don't see that every day. Do you remember any? And as we see here, by the way, Seirawan definitely mistimed b5, and now he's just down a pawn. This is troublesome. But as Jose is thinking about how to convert this extra pawn, any like really quick games, decisive games that you remember at a high level?
It was great. It was beautiful. Okay, so it was Larry Christensen was white against world champion Anatoly Karpov. Okay, he was playing in a Vaikonce, and Larry had a bishop on f4, and his opponent Karpov played knight to h5, attacking the bishop. The bishop dropped back to e3, and then Tolia wanted to win control of the bishop on f4, so he went bishop on f8 to d6, so that the knight on h5 and the bishop on d6 combined to control the f4 square. And Larry, who was white, had a queen on c2, went queen on c2 to d1.
Forking the bishop and
the knight on h5.
It was like move 8, right?
And it was a 10-move win.
Yep.
This was the world champion losing in 10 moves. And Larry is actually staying at my place in Amsterdam. He's playing in Vaikonce. And Larry says to me that Talia resigned after queen d1. Bit of disgust. And Larry says, I asked him, would you like to look at the game? And said, you did not. He said, no, I didn't.
That would have been.
Should we analyze?
Oh my goodness. That would have been, Karpov would have exploded. That would have been the last straw. It would have come to blows.
Should we have a postmortem? No, but that one stood out. Another one that stood out was it's crazy. Larry features in both cases. So our dear friend Tony Miles, he's passed away, but he was really quite the character. But Tony was having a very, very, very difficult time. He had serious health problems, and he was playing in San Francisco. And he is white, and he might have to withdraw, but he didn't want to withdraw and ruin the tournament for the organizers because he had played so many games. So he offered Larry a draw before the game. Okay. And they agreed, because Larry didn't want Tony to withdraw from the tournament, and it was a messed up situation. It was, again, a health problem. And it was a Petrov. And Tony took on e5, d6. The knight came back. Knight takes e4. Normal Petrov. Tony plays knight c3 in order to trade pieces and go into the drawing line. Larry plays bishop f5, defending the knight. Tony rubs the e2 square as if to clean it off, because queen e2 just wins.
Right. It
wins the game on the spot. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Tony takes the knight on e4, bishop takes e4, d4, plays bishop d3, more pieces come off. The two players agree to a draw. Everything nice. Beautiful.
Oh my goodness. But
there's a bulletin. A bulletin is produced. Here's the games, and there's Vichy and
Anand. Oh, that's the connection of that story. I never knew the first part of that story.
Right. There's Vichy. He reads the bulletin. He goes, oh, that's great. Knight c3. And when they play knight c3, bishop f5 is an easy thing. So there's Vichy. The next tournament, he goes bishop f5. His opponent goes queen e2. Vichy resigns in 5 moves.
I'll show that after the next break.
It was hilarious.
I'll show that game after. Well, actually, I could even show it now. I mean, the line is it's 4 moves.
Yes, you're right, exactly. Knight takes e5.
Boom, boom, boom.
Knight c3.
Oh, there's this new move.
Yes.
Hey, Christensen played it. Miles played it to draw Christensen.
Easy draw.
Queen e2, knight c5 resigns. And so you got to move your queen back, and then d3 wins the knight.
Right. So we the old timers who had hours more on their clock didn't prevent them from making some really egregious howlers. But those were just a couple. And believe me, if I sat down and thought about it seriously, I could snap out a book for you.
It reminds me of a story that my coach Gregory Kaidanov shared. He was playing Leonid Yudasin, Grandmaster, one of the Soviet championships, and they had agreed to draw before the game. and they agreed to play a Najdorf, and Gregory plays e4, presses his clock. And sometimes you're writing down the move, and without really looking at the board, you kind of push a pawn.
Right.
And Udasin did that, and instead of going c5, he goes 1b5, which is like the worst move on the board. He just loses. And Gregory, he gets red in the face. So Gregory retracts his pawn from b5 and puts a pawn on c5, and they make the draw.
Very nice. Very nice. That's nice. There you go. I mean, so yeah, we one of the all-time classic blunders was this story is shared to me by Boris Gelko, and we'll get to the games. Sorry, folks, we will get to the games. Boris Gelko was white in a Soviet championship. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, it wasn't a Soviet championship. It was one of those competitions that leads to qualifying in the Soviet championships. Right. They had these qualification tournaments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they went forever, man. It was just amazing. Anyway, the situation is Boris has a king and 3 pawns, F2, G2, H2. His opponent, Black, has 3 pawns, F7, G7, H7, a bishop on G6, and Boris has a rook on F1. Okay. Essentially, he's in an entire exchange up, right? And like you say, Boris just kind of slides his rook over to the A file, threatening a back rank mate, and then he was going to go F3, King F2, and win an exchange up. But he slides his hand over, and he's playing against somebody who's blind. Oh. And the guy has the pocket set, right?
Right.
And he's been holding the pocket set. Boris moved his rook from F1 to B1.
Oh no! But there's a bishop on
G6. And then the hand suddenly got really excited.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And Boris is like, what happened? And he's horrified. So Boris said to me afterwards, after telling me the story, the question is, who was blind? Me or my opponent or I? And like, terrible. Okay, getting back to the game.
Well, White is still looking bad for Black.
Yes, but there is a yes, exactly. There is a but.
Look at the clock. And the queen on B2 is the other but.
That's the other thing. Now the queen on H3 does, I was about to say, defend A3 if the knight moves. So there is knight G1 as a defense to keep the pawn, but he just went queen G3.
Allowing queen takes A3, and things have definitely took a turn for the worse here for White. I think Jose might be going for knight takes E5, and queen B4 runs into
rook F7.
Rook F7. But in the event of the queen trade, I think Black should be able to hold this.
Exactly.
Rook B8, and the eval bar seems to agree with that idea. This pawn is nicely restrained. That's exactly what's happened, actually. They have this position on the board as I'm talking about it.
Exactly. And it looks really good. You're right. Just to avoid that rook F7 with the queens on the board, you were mentioning rook B8. I had seen rook also coming to to David 4. But this looks like with these double G pawns, big relief for Black.
Oh yeah, this is luxurious compared to
what he was suffering after B5. Yeah,
this is like I this is like, and I played a tournament in Spain, tiny village, hour and a half from Barcelona. The food at the hotel, it just wasn't that great, and my mom and I were at the tournament. We were getting more and more tired of the same stuff, and we came back to Barcelona. McDonald's. We both saw McDonald's and we converged on it like McDonald's.
Started running.
McDonald's. Right.
Yay.
And this is like that endgame. This endgame for Black is great. And I'll tell you like more. If Black can win this pawn, and when I can win this pawn, he's gonna have flagging chances. He's got 3.5 minutes to White's 1.
Wow. By the way, knight D5, I was actually looking the other way. They're going potentially knight. No, sorry. Let me correct myself. There is a tactic maybe along the 4th rank. But yes, Black is doing absolutely fine here. Just In terms of food, by the way, I had played in Zagreb, in an interzonal in Zagreb,
Croatia,
and it stayed at this place, Industro Grajna Hotel, which was on the outskirts, and it was my second, John Donaldson, is a vegetarian, and in former Yugoslavia, meat was in everything. I mean, you come to breakfast, there's ham, bacon, whatever. You come to lunch, there's churrapchi.
Right.
Meat's in everything. I mean, even in salads.
Right.
Meat is in everything. So these interzonals were really, really, really long. John could tell you the horror story in full, but essentially it was something like 26 days in a row of tomato pasta. And spaghetti noodles and tomato sauce with nothing else, like nothing else. That was,
my goodness, that's
all the kitchen had that was non-meat.
Non-meat, yeah.
Yeah, but wow. And John was suffering. I mean, fortunately for him and me, I did qualify for the candidates, but
the suffering was not in vain.
Yeah, never again. John made it very clear. You're on your own from now
the first
on,
and the last time that he's doing this.
That's
now,
it.
In the meantime, Amin Tabatabai, he won his game. He's got 3.5 out of 4. You can see Jose, his time is dwindling. Black has the fortress here. This should be a pretty easy flag. As long as Black doesn't, okay, now he wins another pawn. This is over. For the purposes
Black
of the blitz
could
game,
be winning. Yeah. For sure.
But it's the time more than anything. 19 seconds
That's
with no
exactly
increment.
Right.
There's no chances here. None.
Ooh, H5 allowed rook F7, did it not?
Oh, it did, didn't it?
Yeah. Surprise for me.
Alexei should just, I would put a knight on F6, but that allows rook E3, and you don't want to lose the pawn on E6. You don't want to simplify too much, or else White might be able to simplify and take all of Black's pawns. There's rook F7.
Well, but now Black has the move G6. A moment ago when the king was on, what
a tricky move. That took another 3 seconds off White's clock.
That was a nasty move, that knight. Yes.
Rook D5 check and take the rook.
Exactly, and that should be a winning rook and pawn endgame because of rook to G5 now. And the tables are completely turned.
What a devastating game as Jose was better the entire time, didn't find the conversion, and was just too slow in those critical moments.
Yeah, that's the problem with these with the time control, is like when should you be investing in a minute-long thing, and certainly not on move 1, by the way. But, when do you take those timeouts and really carefully calculate? And if you leave yourself short, as we just saw, even if you had a winning position, you could, it could cost you the game. As this is over.
Yes,
mate.
Robert is playing, and he's going to get to 50%.
Nice.
With this win.
Congratulations. Shout out to our buddy, our commentator buddy, Robert Hess. What do we have here?
Gata against Demchenko, and Black has chances here. Who's going to flag who is the question. Looks like Gata's got flagging chances, but he's going to have to be fast.
Right.
And
draw.
Two old GM. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Now this one also could be a draw, or Sigurov could try to flag him, because Black's got all the checks
and the extra pawns too, right?
He goes for it. G6, Queen, G7. Go to A1. Raise. You gonna make it? Raise fast, but not fast enough. Oh, Ray's winning. Oh my God, Ray's gonna win. Ray wins it.
Whoa.
What a flag there. He had like 4 seconds to 2.
Amazing turnaround, especially with that perpet on the board and always having to like pre-move your king. And then the guy took the pawn, and he was sharp enough to get into check.
Okay.
Whoa. Where does that leave us after 4 rounds, though? It's amazing.
Well, that means that Alexei Sarana has defeated the only perfect score to move to 3.5 out of 4, where he joins Amin Tabatabai. Fabi is hot on their heels with 3 out of 4.
Right.
A couple of people with 3 out of 4, including Ray Robson, who just flagged Sanan Sigurov. So everything is yet to be decided. The top 8 qualify, but we know nothing about who those 8 are going to be just yet. So keep watching. That means do not go anywhere. Cancel your haircut, your trip to the store, whatever you have, because the action is only just beginning. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. 4 rounds in the books. Round 5 coming up in a couple of minutes.
This is going to be a real-time breakdown of Danny Wrench's games all time on chess.com.
That's cool. Oh! In the last month, I am playing 83.12.
I'm less accurate than them in every stage.
Yeah.
Man, that stings a little
You
bit.
should
Okay.
do the more game review.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay, so
Tuesday sucks. I gotta stop playing chess on Tuesday. Oh, it's because it's Title Tuesday.
Look how many blunders there were back in December 2020. And now December 2021, 1,600. Don't look at this number. look at this number. Best.
Let's go to tactics. Mates. I'll probably need to work on these ones. Yep.
Every single rook fork that has presented itself to me, I have found. No one has a higher percentage of rook forks than I do. Yes, correct.
These are literally the knight forks that you missed.
I missed knight d6?
You saw it just now.
What the is wrong with me?
I could have done here and then taken this pawn, and I'm winning because my pawns get held together. That's probably the coolest part about this feature.
Like these positions against Hess. Rook there for rook e2. And he blunders mid and one. Oh my goodness. I'm awful.
Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We are halfway through Saturday Swiss. Daniel Naroditsky and Yasser Seirawan bringing you today's action. And we've got a group with 3.5 out of 4. They include Alexei Sorana and Amin Tabatabai, who are facing off Yasser. They're playing a pretty popular, in recent times at least, variation, which used to be consigned to the backwaters, I think, of opening fashion, but now
truly, and now it's become mainline, very, very topical theory. And it's remarkable. It was in St. Louis when it was Wesley So and MVL were playing a rapid chess game. Just went bang, 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 bang for move 30.
Jesus.
And made a draw. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, and that's where I think computers have rehabilitated a lot of lines that we kind of dismissed or said, oh, these are yucky, the advantage is great. The computer is saying it's not as great as you thought. And it's really remarkable that this line got rehabilitated.
Yeah, I mean, and that has been taken almost to the extreme. Now, some openings have been refuted completely, Latvian Gambit, for example. But on the other hand, there was a book recently, 300 plus pages, I have it, on the Elephant Gambit, e4, e5, knight f3, d5. And at first you think, this is trash, rubbish.
Right.
But with the aid of, Stockfish, they found many, many ideas. And of course, white is much better, but White's got to be incredibly precise. I mean, a lot of these lines black is able to equalize. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's ridiculous. And you feel worse. You feel like a fool sometimes. You sit down at the board and your opponent comes out with something like the Elephant Gambit. And you go, ruh-roh, I never looked at this. And now I know my opponent's has been working with a Stockfish. And oh dear, how do I shut it down before I lose control?
Yeah, decline it, go d5, d3, and
exactly.
Put your head down and you feel ashamed. Right. At least you're not going to lose.
Exactly. What do we have here?
Well, we have an English and Fabi's game. That Sorana endgame is a little boring, so I switched to our second board. 3 out of 4, both of them have.
Now, we mentioned this at the top of the show, everybody, that there is very important competition of the FIDE, which is taking place in Berlin as we speak. And that competition, this FIDE Grand Prix, will determine the qualifiers to the candidates. So a lot of the top players, including Hikaru, Levon, Wesley, who have been on our leaderboard, are all been absent. And we said, with their absent, somebody's got to come through. And the exciting part for us was trying to make a prediction of who's coming through. I like this move, knight d3. This is actually kind of awkward. Not so easy to stop the loss of a pawn. Knight d7 can run into bishop h3.
And again, this is like, but here there is the move. I think there's a knight move.
Yes.
It's
and if I take on c8, take on d3 idea, but I do have king e2.
But then back to d8.
Correct. And I can't. Yep. And whoop.
Right. So the move is actually, let me check if there's a better knight move. And it's, knight b6 is better. Knight b6 is better because now after bishop c8, there's rook d3. Gotcha. And White's position starts to crumble here. Bishop d5, right. There's knight d5 simply, and rook takes b2. And
got it.
White's got not enough pieces in the game.
Agreed. So after knight d3, knight d7, then I'll have to do a move like castles. Yes, you preempted me. You knew exactly where I was going. And I've still got the bishop h3 idea on tap.
Yeah, this is you can't stay at the Ritz-Carlton. You'll have to settle for the Four Seasons. I'm so sorry to disappoint you.
2 and 4. Yeah.
That actually reminds me of a funny story. This is actually in Holland. I was playing a tournament in, I want to say Hoogeveen.
Yep.
Or it was I don't remember where, Groningen, Hoogeveen. So we were supposed to stay at a Holiday Inn.
Okay.
And the Holiday Inn was really, really, really bad. It was on the outskirts of town. There were like no windows, and my mom can't take. I can stay in, a box with
Anything,
no
dormitory,
windows,
yeah,
but that was not going to fly.
Right.
So we're moving to another hotel, and the organizer was apologetic, and he understood, and he said, I'm terribly sorry. You're gonna have to stay but I found you a different hotel. I greatly apologize. You're gonna have to move. What is this hotel? And he says, well, it's an old restored castle. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not
stop right there.
Right. I'm in. And we had to look disappointed, like this is such a hassle, but it turned out to be great. I mean, the rooms were small, but they were very quaint, and it was so
old
cool
restored
to stay in that
castle.
hotel. Right. All right, I'll take it.
Nice. Okay, B7, B6. What is going on? That's I'm looking at takes. If I take,
but there's this
bishop H3, tickling the G2 square, right?
And then I win the pawn back with interest.
That does appear to be the case. Yeah.
So white again should not be hasty here, and instead probably should just improve somehow.
But continue that line with knight takes E5 instead.
He played it, but how does that help? Bishop H3.
In that case, I do have the move F4 or
F6.
Yeah. Rook D5. No, I'm not sure how that.
What does Fabi see here after Bishop H3? Well, we're about to find out because Ray has played it.
There is an idea. F4, F6, knight D3. You still have Bishop G. I'm trying to fork you.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do. You were trying to get me to take.
Yeah, right. I was being clever, but you could play Bishop G2 and not capture with the rook, but capture with the bishop on E4. And okay, he is inviting Bishop F3. Ooh, my goodness. So he's got some idea of rook D7. So bishop G2. Oh, pardon me. Yes, bishop G2, rook E1, bishop F3, rook D7 is what white is dreaming.
Right. This is definitely what he's going for. He wants the activity, and the rook is going to come to the knight's rescue.
Exactly. And keep in mind, bishop E4 runs into knight E7 check.
Because I wanted to trick you, rook C7, bishop C6, but no.
Exactly.
Knight E7 check wins.
You had who was the hunter, who was the prey.
Exactly.
Because we have seen a very, very early knockout victory in the previous round, we started talking about knockouts and early losses. And Danya, on the break, I had a question for you. What you have to be a good player, not when you were just, shuffling
600. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But you're already a decent player. Let's say master or better.
Yeah.
What was one of your
this is one of the most painful memories.
Bad moments.
I turned this into an experience that I always share with students to say, well, you're never, these strong players, you look at a 2200 and you say, I'm never going to beat that guy. They're never immune from blunders. And I was playing in the California K through 12 championship. I was in seventh grade, I think, but I was the favorite by like 200 points. I mean, this is a tournament. I'm supposed to come there. And they're supposed to say, Daniel Naroditsky is here, 5 out of 5, go home.
Thank you.
Round one.
Give me the blue ribbon. Right.
Give me the trophy. I'm 2,300 at this point. Okay. So I'm playing a 1,500 in round one, right? Typical.
An 800 rating point difference.
800 point difference. And before the game, and I knew him casually.
Okay.
He was talking with his friends, taking bets on how long he was going to last.
Right.
And
it's a round one game.
I remember being annoyed about that as I was watching him, thinking they're going to jinx me and I'm going to do something stupid. So I played a Najdorf. He played a bad line. I was like, I know where this is going. And at one point he sacks a knight in the center and I scoffed at it. I mean, this is totally unsound. So I just moved my rook that was attacked and I missed a mate. I missed a forced mate. And when he played the move that led to mate, I remember this, pinching myself, thinking this cannot actually happen. Like
this is not real. This
can't happen to me. This has not happened to me. And I lost. I got mated, And after the game, I'm totally devastated. I wasn't even crying. I think I was just like stoned.
In shock.
I couldn't, in total shock, literally. And I remember the mom of one of my friends came up to me and my dad as I'm walking in the hall. And this is 30 minutes after the round started, right? The game lasted 15 moves. And she said, "May I congratulate you on a first round victory?" And I looked at her with daggers in my face. And that made it so much worse.
Because she just made an assumption. She just
oh my
didn't
god,
know.
the embarrassment of And I won the other 4 games, and I tied for first actually, but I still lost rating points just because of that loss. I lost 8 points.
Oh my gosh, first round. So I always said that those are like the dreams and nightmares, because the dream of your opponent is that, in the first round, gets paired up, he goes to the stage behind the roped off area, roped off area. And the low rated player has the game of his life, upsets the big master, wins the game. That's the dream. Well, the flip side of that coin is what you experience. You're the master, you're the overwhelming overdog favorite. You come in and you slip on a banana peel and you're crashing
down.
You come crash. So that's the nightmare. And I had a very similar experience, the dreams and the nightmares in the first round. It was 1978. I was on the bubble of making the Olympic team. And I carefully calculated that the first 4 places were clear. Jim Tarjan was likely the 5th. But I had more than good chances to make the 6th spot on the Olympic team. But I would have to do something amazing. I'd have to go like 18-0 in all my next open games, just win every one of them. And I did. I went 18-0, except for the very last tournament. The first round, I came late and I was really discombobulated and I played really, really fast and I was dead lost. That was the nightmare. But I did win the game against a very low rated player, 1900, Matthew Darby. But I won, and we had this big victory party for my making the Olympic team, except I didn't make the Olympic team. So we had this big party. Mm-hmm. And what happened was the USCF's computer kafritzed.
Oh my goodness.
And they did the computer that did the rating reports was not an IBM. It was something similar to an IBM, but the computer that made the firm that made that computer went bust. And when the computer broke, there was nobody.
There's nobody to call to fix it.
So all the ratings,
we don't exist anymore.
Right. All the ratings in 1978, I am not joking, literally got frozen for about 9 months.
Oh my goodness.
So I was calling the USCF office and saying, "Hey, listen, I think I qualified for the Olympic team. Can you do the calculation?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Seirawan, but no, we can't."
Right. Oh my goodness. That never happens anymore. That's something from the past, right?
Exactly.
The computer can't be fixed, so I'm sorry.
Right. By the way, while we've been chit-chatting along, we've got a very interesting ending. This bishop, I mean, first blush, draw, right? But because pawns are on both flanks, a little edge to white, the bishop.
Yeah. But I think it's I just don't see
the problem
where black is going to infiltrate.
Or white. Yeah.
White offered to draw and black declined it. Would you look at that?
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if that's a wise decision. I mean,
right.
But that was his decision.
Whoa! You always
side.
You always are loath to put a pawn on the square of your opponent's bishop because then it can be attacked. But it's on h4, so no harm, no foul.
He passed through the The war zone there. He passed through
Exactly. The no fly area.
Right. It's like when
go.
I would take a piece of candy and from downstairs and run upstairs, and I would hope my parents' bedroom door is closed, and I would pretend I just got to pass that, and then I'm safe.
Yeah, fly through the no zone area. By the way, look at this: Knight C6, turning the tables. Gift me the pawn. Give me the pawn on B4.
Okay.
If you play B5, Knight to D4, and black's in business.
This has happened. The problem is the moment you go to pick that pawn up, white goes the other way. And I don't see how black is ever going to avoid that situation.
Right.
This
Good
should
point.
still be a draw.
Even though white tried his best
to lose this. Yeah.
to make a mockery of the minor piece
Okay, so
versus set off.
In the meantime, we've got this going on in the Fabi game. It's heating up. We've got a time scramble on tap here, or a petition. But Ray is better here. Ray is definitely better, and white's pawns are sitting duck if the rooks get traded.
Exactly.
Sitting ducks, I should say.
Sitting ducks. Set him up.
King F6.
That's the question. King F6 was the crucial move there. Just asking, where are you going back with the knight?
Yeah, I don't fully understand why I didn't play it. It would have forced the trade of all rooks.
I assume he was worried about knight F3, trading all the rooks, bishop to B1, knight to D2, that he'd have this move knight to D2, maybe trapping the bishop, or A3, bishop C2, knight D2. But something like knight D2 must have put him off.
Right. Whatever it is, he's let Fabi improve his structure. Ray also with 45 seconds here. This could go either way.
Definitely. 3-result game. He's at last played King F6, by the way.
And another knight versus bishop endgame. We might have a knight versus bishop on our top two boards.
It's our theme.
Okay, Ray declining the rook trade.
What's very interesting for me is that in the rook and knight versus rook and bishop ending, my experience has said go with the rook and bishop. So that was, I think Ray made a very, whether it was an intuitive decision or just a knowledgeable one, I think he made the right decision with his move rook A8. But
now with the knights and low time on the clock do not go very well. Because there's going to be forks everywhere. Fabi could move his rook, and there's a trap for you. Rook E8, for example.
That's a nice one. Rook E8, rook C4, knight E3 check. Gift me the rook.
Right. And it's sucks more time off of the clock. But Ray, he needs to find a way to repeat, I think. He should start seriously thinking about how to make a draw here with 27 seconds. Ooh, look at Fabi.
Look at Fabi go as he reroutes his knight. Ooh, there's knight C5, bishop C4. No, it's fine. It's fine. But
97.
Whoa! Whoa!
Ray is hanging on though, because 95, the bishop moves, and now rook B3 check. But can he make it in time? 17 seconds.
That's exactly his problem. The time is crucial factor here. The bishop G4, very nice anchor square, I must say, for the bishop. That just I think that makes it easy. You just kind of check and force the king. I was going to check again.
But I don't think he's going to make it. He's got 6 seconds. All Fabi needs to do is keep his rook alive.
Right. No trade of rooks. You need the rook for mating material. But he is a
rook E6. Knight C7. And it's over. It's over. It's still a draw, of course, but Ray's not going to make it.
No. Oh. And by the way, now he's just losing.
Now he's just straight up lost, right?
Yeah. But rook E6. He pre-moved rook E6, missed knight C7.
Oh man.
Oh boy. And that's why Fabi is leading the overall.
Yes, he is. And Jospem, this is why we watch the RCC. He was leading. Great tournament, 3 out of 3. He's going to lose 2 in a row, and he's going to fall way out of the top 8. He lost to Andraken.
Oh, Black just played this howler. He played king to d6 instead of rook f8 check. I think he made a pre-move, another one of those pre-move games. And that was just a draw at the very end there.
Yeah, but he had no time. I mean, he had 2 seconds there in that end game.
I see. And again, misuse of the clock then.
Yeah, and we've got a change in the standings. Lots to talk about, but first, a short break. We are going to have round 6 of 9 coming up. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Stay tuned for round 6 in just a couple of seconds. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. We've got 5 rounds in the books, and all of this is leading up to the Sunday knockout. This is the Saturday Swiss. The top 8 players qualified to the Sunday knockout, and as we know already, it's an 8-player single elimination. If you lose, you're out. 10+2 time control. The biggest difference is that there is a 2-second increment tomorrow, and if the individual game is drawn, shorter and shorter time control. If the bullet game is drawn, then they play an Armageddon. So we've got a couple rounds to go in the Saturday Swiss. Nothing is decided yet. Yasser, we're watching some of the top games here. Fabiano playing Amin, and here we see Alexei playing Dmitry Andraken.
Yeah, Danya, I've been really enjoying calling the action with you. We really some topsy-turvy games and big, I want to say, reversals going on in this event. But I love the knockout stage because those games are just so tension filled. I mean, a single blunder and you're gone. And it's like you could play a fabulous qualifying event. You could win today, go to the knockouts tomorrow, and just one bad move gets you out. So I love the tension that these rapid chess games bring. And I tell you, the players, watching them play, I'm just amazed that they're so good at it's not just rapid, but they're fast on the clock. Their speeds are amazing, and what they calculate is amazing. Some funny pre-move blunders though have cost players the game on the spot.
Yeah, and I mean now compared to even 10 years ago, when, you know, I was pretty fast, but a lot of players just could not. I mean, you gave them 10 seconds on the clock, they wouldn't be able to mate with the queen and king. Now, even players who are not known as bullet experts, everybody can checkmate with queen against king in 5 seconds. Everybody can start pre-moving. You know, there's been a just improvement process. The muscles have grown, not just among the bullet players, right, you know, and the Andrew Tangs of the world, but among everybody, because you got to know how to do that.
Yeah, I was really, really shocked that this fast twitch, even up to and included Fabiano, by the way, because Fabi was never really that fast. Like I played Fabi Blitz in St. Louis with a regular clock and stuff. And it was very clear that Fabi disdained. He enjoyed playing Blitz. Don't get me wrong. He likes playing Bug House. He liked it, but for sure his focus had been on classical chess. Then after 2018, he just said, no, I'm going to become a really, really good Blitz player, and I'm going to become really fast. And like you said, it's just like everybody has improved their hand speed, their calculating eye, and whether it be tools like Puzzle Rush or whatever that has done it, this snap, this quick calculation has just become, I mean, universal. These guys calculate really fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's been fun to see. Not as much fun to play some of those people now.
like just take a look at this last move by White. Now, White was facing an issue. There's a bishop hanging on c4. There's a pawn potentially hanging on c3. Knight takes c3. There's an exchange. So, you kind of go through the moves. Bishop takes d5 or queen b3. You calculate a little bit. You say in both cases, you're not completely satisfied. And then a third move that you didn't originally consider comes to your mind because you rejected the first two. The idea is if you take, I'll take on d5. Now you'll take, and I've got check. Ooh. And it's kind of a tactical solution.
This is happening.
Oh, it's already happened. In fact,
I don't like what Dmitry is doing though, because now he's going to have problems with his c7 pawn.
Right away. In fact, yes, you're absolutely right. Rook f1 to c1 to make sure that you always have knight e1 in case something goes horribly, horribly wrong. But you're right, b2, b3, and gift me the pawn on c7 is occurring.
Yeah, I mean, and if he plays b3 immediately, the knight has to move. You can't castle out of this one. You're going to have to move your knight.
Right.
Take c7, and
that's a tempo against the knight.
Sometimes you've got compensation based on the light squares, and you've got tactics connected with the diagonal. But as you said, Yasser, I mean, rook f c1 even here, right. Knight g5 can be met with knight e1.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is that Dmitry was enticed by here.
No, I think they calculate incredibly, incredibly well. Judgment, that's something else, right? Right. Just because you can calculate a 4-move variation, a 6-move variation, 8-move, but you have to make a judgment at the end. Do I have enough compensation for the pawn, such as knight d6, queen c7, knight e4? And it's our judgment. No, you don't. But when you're calculating these things, you might convince yourself otherwise, right? But I'm looking at this position. I'm saying queen c7. No, you don't. Or rook c1. You don't have sufficient compensation.
Right.
One of the players, and well, he is the world champion, so it won't come as a real shock. But Magnus has surprised me a great deal. It's not only that he calculates very well, but at the end of a variation, his judgment is extraordinary. He says, yeah, that's an improvement on my current situation. Like that gets me a step closer to victory. I'm going to go for that variation. And at the time, we're sitting there thinking, no, don't do that. You're throwing away your advantage.
Right. No, Magnus made a huge mistake.
Yeah, he didn't understand that he shouldn't make that kind of trade in these. Oh my gosh, he's still pressing. Look at that. He's still pressing.
Oh, I was always saying he should have gone for that. Yeah, I told you this was a great decision by Magnus.
Right.
It wasn't like those commentators who say, Magnus is in a slump. This is just representative of the fact that he's getting worse.
Right.
No,
exactly. So Magnus is one of those players who is extraordinary in not his calculation. A lot of players can calculate with him. A Hikaru, a Vishy Anand can calculate alongside Magnus. They don't make the same judgments that he makes, and he is gifted. There's something very special going on there. And again, I'm boldly stating the obvious. He's a world champion, but he does things that the riffraff
Right.
don't keep up with. Okay, we do have Rook FC1 on the board, and again, it's been our judgment that the compensation is insufficient. Before
Right.
I was going to say Queen takes D5. One of the, it was Anatoly Karpov versus, and he goes Bishop A7.
Oh, Unzicker?
My favorite move, said Nigel Short. Anatoly Bishop A7. So the A file was open, the rooks were opposed, and Karpov played Bishop A7 so that he could go Rook A5 and Rook A1, and then withdraw the bishop and control the A file. If you go back to a move there, after the move Rook C8, there was the Karpov Unzicker. Yeah, Rook C8.
Oh, Bishop C7.
Bishop C7.
Right.
Which is a nice way of keeping more material on the board. Now you want to take the queen, and then you want to play Rook C5, and then do everything. Yeah, this would be the dream, right? Because of the Karpov bishop on C7. He didn't do that. He traded very quickly on D5.
Right. He traded, which keeps the C file open. And I think Dmitry has actually done a pretty decent job here. I still wouldn't take black, but
it's
White has to keep an eye on A5, A4. If this happens in the right version, White's got to be a little careful, because if White loses A2, Black has the pieces in place, and he does go A4. Now,
because
White does have Knight D2.
He's got that tricky move, Knight C2. Bishop B4, Knight C2 is the issue. You were mentioning Knight to D2 to defend the pawn.
Wait a minute.
So he's
Knight C2. Sorry, yes, sir.
No, it's okay. You're trying to win it, you dirty rat Fink. I hate to play a move like Knight E1, but and go into a bishop of opposite color ending that should likely be a draw. But your move Knight C2, you're trying, that's thievery. You're trying to win the pawn on B3 for free.
He plays it immediately.
Look at that.
What a cute move.
He's a real hero. Look at that. Knight C2.
If you take it, the pawns are overwhelming.
Right? Nice.
Goodbye.
Yes.
It's not one of those things where you forget to play the, I had a Grandmaster, Jumabayev actually blundered a piece that way against me. I've never done this, fortunately, but I've heard stories of this accidentally playing the second move of the variation you calculated, right? You're thinking Knight F3, Knight takes F3, Rook D2, and you accidentally play Rook D2. I forgot to play Knight F3.
Right,
in this
exactly.
case, it's not like that.
No.
Whoa.
Wow. Inviting
Whoa.
Rook takes B3, presumably Rook B1 takes on A2. Whoa, you do it this way. Okay.
Well, because I think you can't stop B4, B2, and Bishop E4.
Right.
Is White not worse here?
This is crazy, man. This is just
Alexa,
this knight on C2 is like, what?
I was always saying Black had full compensation for the pawn.
Right? Yeah, never even close. Maybe the move B3 takes your move Knight D2 might have been a more cautious move, or my move Knight E1 from White's point of view, again a little bit more cautious, and let's take this counterplay seriously. What's going on the queen side, because it's sure looking serious to me, Daniel. Rook takes C2, B3. What a move. B3 turns the tables.
Well, there's no way Alexei should have allowed this. I mean, Knight D2, you can debate whether it's a draw or there's chances, but White is not risking. Now White is very seriously staring defeat in the face, and 2 minutes on the clock here.
Well, Rook A2, B3, that'll almost be time to sign the score sheets there. That's so fast. Oh, wow.
Wow, what a turnaround.
We have been seeing a number of them, haven't we?
This isn't
Please.
exactly related, but for some reason this made me remember a story from the 2007 World Youth that I was playing under 12. Now, my mom was there, my coach was there, Alexander Kalinin, and he was checking the game and reporting the status of the positions to my mom.
Right.
And there was one game, I won a pretty smooth game. Now, at one point, I saw Kalinin come over to my board, and he had this big frown on his face, and I'm like, what am I missing? I thought I'm much better. But he's looking like he just came back from a funeral. And when I came out, they were both ashen faced. I mean, what happens? And they said, how'd you do? And I said, I won. What? And they're both shocked. What happened? What a swindle! And he had not seen the fact that I have a rook in the corner on A1. He thought that I was down a rook. I was always just better. And he had been, Daniel somehow blundered a rook. That's it.
Oh, I didn't see the rook on A1. Well, you have that story. I have a story similar. So, by the way, I like this move E4 91 as white, hit the panic button and said, oh my gosh, I could be worse. Let me play E4, bishop E4 91, so that there's no bishop A2 business.
Right.
And we're going to get a bishops of opposite color ending, and white will draw. Whew, phew.
It seems that way. Now I want to hear your story.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened was it was the World Team Championship, and just having dinner after the round, and we have the American table, the Hungarian table, the Russian table, et cetera, et cetera. And Sasha Grishuk comes over and he said, yeah, sir, I just couldn't believe it. I said, what? He says, your game with Judith Polgar. I go, yeah, what about it? He said, well, you were so calm. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I finished my game. I came and I saw you, and you were just at the board, and you crossed your legs, and you were looking at the position, and you played so luxuriously and easily, and you were just so calm. I was amazed. And I go, really? He goes, yeah. I mean, she had she had a knight and a pawn for the exchange, and I thought it was very difficult, very tricky for you. But you for sure, you were behaving like you had it completely won. And then I saw your extra rook. It wasn't an exchange. It was two rooks for a knight and a pawn.
Right.
That was the giveaway. We have a winner.
Right. That's funny.
So calm. You're like,
how did you know you had it in the bag?
Yeah, exactly. There is a queen trade alert. Queen C4 check.
That's it.
That's
that ends the game. Fabi's going to calculate this, and he's going to win his game.
Wow.
And once again, Fabiano doing excellently. He's going to be on 5 out of 6, well within the top 8.
Our overall tournament leader on the tour, but again, in the absence of all of our other top players, Wesley, Levon, Hikaru, all in Berlin, Fabi looks to pad his lead going into tomorrow to try to qualify.
And Alexei failed to hold that position. He somehow lost a piece.
Oh, how's that for a move? Rook to D7.
Careful now, because White wants to play F4 and trade all the pawns, but F4 can be met with E4.
Exactly. Even then, that's a challenge when your opponent plays a move like F5. That's really says, like you're not doing anything, dude. You had, Danya, one of the strangest endings. You had a rook and a bishop against rook and pawn against the Chinese grandmaster, Bu Zhenji, who knocked out Magnus from a World Cup tournament. And you said, look, I'm a piece up. and this is crazy, Yasser. I can't win it. I think, oh, come on. This is so easy, Danya. This is
Right.
easy. And I spent half a day and I couldn't win it either. Looking
And
at that ending,
same.
it's like the
It
strangest.
was insane.
It's the strangest ending. I still don't understand it.
Well, what was insane about it? So I was totally, and not totally, I was much worse out of the opening. Then Boo blunders. At one point, I have 2 bishops for a rook, and then he liquidates into this endgame, and I'm like, I've blundered. He's blundered. I have 1 bishop, rook, bishop, and 2 pawns against rook and 3 pawns on 1 flank. Now, 1 on 3 pawns.
Easy.
Okay, chances. This is elementary. And as I'm starting, at first, I'm making the autopilot, was getting my king into the center. And I was like, wait a minute. What's the winning plan exactly? Oh my God. And I couldn't find it. I feel like I've unlearned the rules of chess.
Right.
And, eventually
That's exactly right.
he drew rook and bishop versus rook on increment, which was impressive. And I was so embarrassed when I came back. And when I started analyzing it, the computer keeps showing a win, but this is 2014. The computer is showing a win and just saying king e7, king d6, king e7. Unbelievable endgame. I would look at it again with the modern engines. That's something on my bucket list.
Right. But it was truly one of those mystifying endings where you thought, like, this is the easiest win in the world. And wrong. By the way, this is a technique I've always admired is, don't try to win king and queen versus king. Just get an extra queen.
Right.
Don't go, because you can pre-move everything. You can just pre-move everything down.
Now another time scramble. Look at the pre-moving here. Jose should win this. He's got the rook. He's got the checking potential.
Right.
Oh, up. He got it. Flagged him. Jose wins in a big game there. Wow. Jose had lost 2 in a row. He was reeling. Now he's back in the top 8 with 4 out of 6.
Look at that. Fabi rising to the top once again, even in the absence of his top rivals. But there you see, his consistency has been remarkable. And once again, I refer to the round 1, his win against Darush.
Yeah.
Oof, that come from behind.
You called it, Yasser. I mean, once he won that, it was smooth sailing. He's in first place. We've got 3 rounds to go. We're going to go on a very short break, and we're going to watch the finale. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. The final 3 rounds coming up in just a couple of seconds. Coinbase wants you to stop blundering your pieces, so they've decided to give away some diamond memberships for you to improve your chess. However, they are impressed by your prediction skills and would really like to know who you think will win tomorrow's Sunday knockout. So spam your favorite in chat now and become eligible to win a diamond membership from our main sponsor, Coinbase. Okay, so we have 3 more rounds to go to determine which 8 players will make it to tomorrow. And yes, or another impressive performance, as you were talking about before the break, by Fabiano. He's in clear first right now
on the leaderboard.
5 out of 6.
As we are in our 7th Rapid Chess Championship, then you see he's just doing really, really well. And again, this is a very, very different Fabiano that we knew from 2018. What he's done in the last, 3-4 years, whatever it's been, it's been nothing short of remarkable, because he was never this good at blitz. And what he's doing in this event, and what he's been doing overall in the tour, is just it's great. It's very, very hard going from being a great classical player, number 2 in the world, to becoming a great blitz player. It's a different skill set. I'm stunned that he's made it so well.
I mean, it's very impressive. And of course, now there's all of the resources that you can exploit to supercharge your improvement in blitz. You mentioned Puzzle Rush, online chess. I've always wondered, back in the days before online chess, people still loved blitz. So was it commonplace? I assume it was commonplace after the tournament to stay up all night and everybody would play before their flights, or would it even happen during the tournament?
Oh, both, but definitely during the tournament. And I remember most especially Hastings. Hastings was at the time was an event, and the Soviet players would play in Hastings. The conditions were never really that good, frankly speaking. But the blitzers, the Evgeny Sveshnikovs of the world, the Rafael Vaganyans of the world, they like to play, for let's just say £5. So you could play for £5 a game, and you're playing really a top guy. So even if you lost, it doesn't matter, £20. You really got this fantastic experience. And it was always confusing to me to see, these top Soviet players playing blitz and playing for money. And then I was essentially told by Viktor Korchnoi that £5 in Moscow was a fortune.
Right.
That was the basic point of the whole thing. And these guys, that was really significant, because I said, well, what about their honorarium? What about the prizes? Oh, that goes to the Communist Party.
Right.
Like everything they earned just went to the Communist Party. That was it. That was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that they earned on the side, playing blitz, that could stay in their pocket. They could go, doesn't matter, go to the, the tax-free store, get chocolates, whiskeys, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, very, very significant. And so I played a lot of blitz with the guys. Now I feel a little ashamed about it, but in truth, I was taking their money.
Right.
I was very, very, very good. So, but
I know.
but that was what it was all about. Was
Mm-hmm.
and the blitz was. I had asked, because we were always talking about this Soviet preparation, right? So we were essentially live in fear that the Soviets, had gotten together in some of their boot camp, training camps, whatever.
Right.
And, like they have, solved
Huddled around the board.
Yeah. Right. So I asked Karpov about this. I said, hey, man, what were those Soviet training camps all about? And it was about the blitz.
Right. That's
who
why
was
they
the
got
best
together.
blitz player? Get out of here. I was like, what? Yeah. They took it very seriously. And well, it was an important part of the game was to really enjoy yourself. And the strange thing is we never thought of the Soviets as enjoying their chess games.
Mm-hmm.
But they did. I mean, go talk to Gary Kasparov and ask him, what his feelings were at this moment in this game, He was having the time of his life.
That's awesome.
I know. What do we got here? What's going on in this game? We've just seen the move bishop c5 down here.
We have Fabi with the white pieces trying to build up an endgame advantage against Andreykin. I mean, he wants to win this game and just pack away the tournament.
Right.
Going into the last 2 rounds.
Right. Not to worry about the qualification process.
Right. So Black's got obviously a damaged queenside pawn structure, but counterbalanced by a nice knight on t5.
Power, a Thor in the middle of the board. This knight on d5.
I guess my question, and probably what Fabi is trying to figure out, first of all, are there tactics? I was considering briefly knight takes c6 and bishop d4, but it doesn't appear to work. At a minimum, Black has this, and then bishop back to b6 to cover the check.
And in this case, the knight on d5 is doing such a great job at killing the open d file. It's not it's materially speaking, you might think you're doing okay, but in truth, you're not. And so he tried.
He moved his knight away. No, go ahead.
No. So he tried knight b3 and bishop d4. So because of the split pawns, he's hoping to gain full control over the c5 square. Knight to c5 check, challenging Black. Do you want to give up your dark square bishop? Yes or no? What say you?
He says no. And I think specifically in general, maybe from a positional standpoint, it's good. But I think here, concretely, the rook travels to a5 and
exactly
pawn on a7 is in the crosshairs. But Fabi rerouting his own knight potentially to d6.
And I love what Fabi is. I mean, this is a rapid chess game that you look at and you go, well, if this is a classical game, he's doing really, really nice. And he could go now bishop to c5 check. And if that were to provoke a trade of bishops, then that's what I meant about winning the square c5 eternally, right? By getting those bishops off in a nice way. He jumped instead right away, knight to d6. A bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, because that knight could get undermined, and sometimes the threat is stronger than its execution. You want to stare at an outpost without actually occupying it.
Exactly. I was having a conversation the other day, but do you know the root of that expression, the threat is stronger than the execution?
I always thought it was Nimzovich, but...
Yes, but what was it in reference to?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what happened was Nimzovich was going to play Emanuel Lasker. And Lasker was noted for his like of cigars. But he liked these really, really, really rank, awful smelling cigars, like disgusting cigars. And in fact, at one tournament, all the players had reached into their pocket and purposely bought him nice cigars just so that they could avoid the rank, awful cigars. So Lasker came to the board, shook his hand, signs the score sheet, gets it all nice, and then takes out his smoke pack and takes these awful smelling cigars and puts them on the score sheet. Well, this drives Nimzo into a tizzy. He goes, tells the arbiter, he can't do that, he's bothering me, and the arbiter said, he hasn't even started smoking his cigar yet. And that's the threat is stronger than the execution.
The threat of the cigar. So it actually wasn't a chess threat.
No, it was the threat of the cigar.
That's hilarious. I had no idea. That's amazing.
Exactly. The threat of this awful cigars.
It's gonna come out of the pocket now. It's gonna come out of the pocket.
Yeah. Nice. Fabi is doing a good job because somehow the advantages are keeping that they're shifting, and they're shifting dynamically. The knight ended up being the imbalance with the dark squared bishop, but that dark squared bishop I mean, has seen better days. Let's face it. That dark square bishop is not a pride and joy of Black's position. And White, well, he's playing on light squares. I think it's important to play h4 and h5 if you can, just to gain some space over there and maybe to try to prevent. Well, okay, he stopped it with h5. So I'm going to put my king to c2 to stop rook b3. But then how exactly am I going to make progress?
You're going to make all the architecture. You're going to install the
right moves. But the move
install
F6,
the fixtures. But how are you f6? Wow.
Okay.
Bold.
That might have given Fabi a little bit of enthusiasm for his task.
Yeah, I mean, the question I have is, can Black just go f5, g6, king back to e7, and look over at Fabi and say,
what you gonna do?
Right. Yeah. What you got? You got a positional advantage, but how are you going to convert it into anything concrete?
Precisely so. Now, in that case where you go, full defense mode, because you don't have to, right? But if you go full defense mode, then I'm going to have to go king c2 and rook b1. On a good day, I'll route my king to c4, and my knight will jump magically to some beautiful square. So I'm thinking that Black doesn't want to just shut down everything. Like the one thing Black definitely does not want to do. He doesn't want to play a move like rook d8 and just give up the b file. I think
that's the worst scenario. Yeah.
Yeah. The rook b1, rook b7 would definitely be a dream for White.
He goes king g6. So is he flirting with a king march? But he did allow e takes f6, and now he had to recapture with the king because e6 would have been hanging.
Exactly.
Which creates more weaknesses.
Exactly. And
95, I mean.
Rook d1 starts to be, you liked your 95.
Well, I just thought, now this could, obviously, 3 results are possible. If Black's king infiltrates to g4 and you start taking these pawns, we all know where that could lead.
Yeah, that could be bad news. But right now, there's a fork on the board. Knight takes b8,
yes,
knight takes c5, knight takes c6. So rook c8, and there's a bishop f4 sighting.
Trick. But who takes more pawns there? Knight e6, there's bishop e5 in that position.
Right.
It looks like Black survives there. And if he survives there, what is White going to do?
Exactly.
Rook c8 was brilliant.
Tricky move, all right. There is a4, a5. How is that for a counter perplexing kind of move? a5 makes king d3.
Very strange position. I mean, there's a lot of what is going on? You can't take anything. King sneaks up to b4.
Sneaks up to b4. You don't. Wow, look at this.
Mated.
Right, like, hello.
What is this endgame? This is so strange.
Well, by the way, doesn't that set up the threat of an immediate perpetual? Well, I don't know if it's a threat to make a perpetual check, but hold on. Check, king b4, a5, king a3, and he skedaddles home. Right.
I think Black has to go for the draw. I think if he doesn't, that means he loses a6, and there's no need for Dmitry with his tournament standing to go crazy. Do anything insane.
Right. Yeah, it was that move c4 check was a really fine moment there. I think White had something, but it really did slip away.
Yeah, I mean, Seirawan is not going to be too broken up about this. A draw is totally fine for him.
Right.
But nonetheless, a good defensive effort by Andreikin.
Yep.
And we've got
two likely qualifiers there.
Karas seems to be outplaying Grishuk.
He was remarkably strong Gadakamsky, and in truth, there were only two guys in the whole of the world of chess that ever stopped Gata. It wasn't Vladimir Kramnik or Vishy Anand no, it was Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov.
Wow. I mean, yeah,
he handled a lot of people pretty brutally, including Vladimir Kramnik, by the way. But no, I mean, Karpov and Kasparov, who were arguably two of the greatest chess geniuses the world has ever seen. I mean, Gata was just born at the wrong period to have to face both of those guys.
That's brutal.
I know.
Right, the sweet spot of the late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
So
the guy I laugh about his discomfort, I think he was the most unlucky guy ever, was Lajos Portis. Lajos Portis was a famous grandmaster from Hungary, and for the better part of 30 years was in the world's top 10. And I think he played, I'm not joking, by the way, in something like 7 candidates.
Wow.
I mean, that's hard,
wild.
right? It's very hard to qualify for the candidates, much less play in 1, 2, 3, 7. And in his prime, out of nowhere came a Michael Tull, like just, force of nature, right? Blew everybody up.
Right.
And then came, nobody could understand what he was doing, Tigran Petrosian. And then came the great natural player himself, Boris Spassky. And then came a Bobby Fischer.
Oh my goodness.
And then there was an Anatoly Karpov.
Every
and all the
candidate, there was somebody else.
He's qualifying to play against one of these, murderers. It was just, and I'm thinking to myself, he must have been sitting there saying, God hates my guts.
Right.
He keeps developing one greater talent after another, why me?
Right. Who's going to be there? This candidate, which random crazy talent?
Exactly. Is it going to be a Bobby Fischer? Is it going to be an Anatoly Karpov? Like, give me a break.
Right. Portis became one of those, not even punching bags. I mean, he was a great player, but
he was a great player, but unfortunately these guys had something, just one extra little quality.
You always see him on the receiving end of like a brilliancy by Gary.
By Vinnig. Yeah.
It's one of those. It's like back in Morphe's day, there's this player, Schulten, who was a very competent player, probably top 50 at the time, but he's always on the receiving end of every brilliancy by Morphe. It's always Schulten is always getting queen sacrifice. There's always a mate waiting for him. Kizaritsky is like that too. He's like always playing the King's Gambit against Anderson, and Hess win this against Sasha Kosteniuk.
Rook C7 was that was a brutal moment.
Kosteniuk is fast. God, mate. No, he's not going to make it. Or is he? No, he's not.
Black won.
Black wins. He didn't capture the rook in time. And he had made in 2 here. That was his chance. Queen B8, rook A7.
Exactly.
Oh, Robert. But Kosteniuk wins, and she's having herself a solid event. And that concludes round 7. That means we have 2 games left to be played. Fabiano's still in first place, and we will see who gets into the top 8 after this break. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Last 2 rounds of the Saturday Swiss coming up in just a couple of moments. coverage of the final leg of the FIDE Grand Prix in Berlin continues on chess.com. Watch us see Hikaru Nakamura, Levon Aronian, Anish Giri, and the rest of the field compete for the last 2 spots in the candidates tournament, which decides the World Championship challenger. It's Magnus. Catch the best coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix right here on chess.com daily at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. New York time. Robert and Ketty doing a great job, and I will be replacing Robert for the second half of the tournament. But right now, we've got 2 more rounds of the RCC to watch. Yasser Fabi has been doing great. He's on 5.5 out of 7 all alone. The question is going to be who among those with 4.5 out of 7 are going to qualify. You can't really afford a loss if you're someone like Amin or Alexei Serrana if you've got 4.5 out of 7.
Exactly. And because the participants, the number of participants is so small, it means that every opponent's going to be really strong. You don't have to go hog wild. The qualifying in this event, it seems more like don't lose.
Yep.
Keep scoring those half points, keep yourself in the mix, and give yourself that opportunity that if you do need to win in the last round game, at least that's what it's going to take, and you haven't spoiled it by going a little hog wild.
Yeah, I mean, Bach and Andreykin have already drawn their game, which is understandable. They had 5 out of 7, so that is exactly the strategy you outlined.
Yes, you just want to, again, it's a qualifying event. You want to get to the business end of things, these knockout matches, right? So yeah,
and Fabi drew as well for against Paravian.
Very, very quick draws there as the start of this penultimate round.
This made proverbial eye contact even though they're playing online. And all right, are you thinking what I'm thinking, partner?
Yeah, I'm thinking what you think.
Dinner. Yeah, I remember.
Yes, please.
No, go ahead. Yes.
No. I remember. Well, that's a personal one.
I was playing my good friend Vladislav Kovalyov in a tournament, and he wanted to make a draw. And we're not hurting any of this. Is just a round robin, and I don't like to make draws unless I'm playing a really close friend. So at first I'm like, Vladislav, I'll go to dinner with you the night before, but I've got white. We're playing.
Right.
And during dinner, he keeps working. He's like, I was invited by Ilya Nizhnik to a little get together. But that get together starts at 7 p.m. If we play, we're gonna play a while. I'm like, we can go to the get together after the tournament. But I think Nizhnik's leaving for a tournament. Eventually, like an hour in, I relented. All right, fine. He convinced me. All right.
Nice.
You got what you wanted.
Right.
The party was good though.
Right. It was like from Smislav's book. Well, he's got lots of books, but it was his 200 best games, and he's essentially saying, I'm black, playing this guy, Soviet championship. I've got tickets to the opera after the game. So, if he makes 40 good moves, he's going to get the draw. That was just Smislav's approach. Like, you've got to make 40 good moves. You'll get your draw, and I'm going to go to the opera. So the guy makes the 40 good moves. Smislav offers the guy a draw, and the guy refuses.
Oh no.
He gets to the opera, and the guy refuses. So, of course, that makes Smislav furious,
right?
Which can only lead to one outcome. Now that you're going to force me to play, I'm playing for the win as your punishment for costing me tickets to the opera. And of course, that's why the book's in this 200 best game.
Right, he won.
He won.
He showed him.
Yeah. And it was something like that. Like Gary Kasparov was telling me stories that people were really, really afraid of Smislav when he offered them draws. not many people decline.
Right, you're not gonna might not get another chance.
He was. I'll take that one. Yes, okay. We've got to take her. What do we got here, Danya? Set up.
We have Amin against Jaspam.
And what do the players need? Essentially,
Well,
are they on the bubble or they a draw?
They are.
There?
They've got 4.5 out of 7. So right as it stands at the moment, 4.5 out of 7 does get you in the top 8. They're Parham, Jose is number 8 by tiebreak.
Okay.
So a draw is, I would probably say that 5.5 gets you in, but it's going to be really close. 6 would be ideal. 6 guarantees it.
So these players might be feeling that they need a win. Not that, not that a draw is necessarily terrible.
No, but they want to ensure that,
exactly. Now,
so who's better here?
That's I wanted to bring up the obvious question that leads me to this moment. Who stands better? And look at this move, B5. That's cheeky. The idea is if you take on A5, there is a certain knight to C4 followed by B5, B6.
Oh, even better, knight C4, B6. You can't stop the pawn.
B7. Look at that.
Just looks awful.
That is really a very nice tactical breakthrough by white. So this move B5 might be just perfectly timed following knight B8. I didn't think knight B8 was really called for, but here we have it.
I think Jose was trying to get his knight to C6 without fully realizing that white can blast open the queen side at the most inconvenient time. And now the other knight's coming into C4. He's got more time. I think Amin is definitely in the driver's seat here.
Well, when you look at that D6 Peshki, and knight C6 is also going to be met by not just knight takes D6, but okay, here we go. I was about to say A6, A5, A6, but there is a knight B4, Danya. Got to keep your eye on a
knight B4 is a very strong response.
Forks the queen as well as the A6 pawn. Sorry, yes, please.
I think I could just I just think I can take on D6 here.
Right, agreed. And in fact,
why not?
It's my favorite appetizer. Give me the pawn.
Central pawns. He does. He took. And if to add insult to injury, if the rook moves, you walk into a little discovery.
Yeah, thanks to the bishop. Nice. Roro.
This is a disaster for Jose. He's going to lose his exchange too. I don't think you can save the rook.
How does it? Yeah, because it's the same thing. Bishop takes D6, knight takes D6, rook to B8, knight to B7. Once again, the move that you pointed out, and you open up the bishop on G3. Losing the pawn, I think you can deal with, because then you could get a knight takes A5 perhaps. But and here's the problem: knight takes A5 in this exact position. Bishop takes B8, and the knight on A5 is suddenly pinned. You thought you defended the rook on A8 a number of times? That's remarkable.
Oh, you mean here? Yeah. Somehow the rook was left undefended. Now, I think Jose has to give up the exchange. At least he should do it for the A5 pawn and try to defend that resulting position. Right. He will have a nice knight on D5, so I don't think it's totally over.
Agreed. But
the clock situation is disastrous. He's 4 minutes down. I don't see him pulling this one out.
So let's just see. How could he do it for the A5? So bishop D6, knight D6, rook A5 type of thing?
Rook A5. And wait a second, rook A5, it's worth considering, I think, for Amin to play rook C1.
Okay.
In fact, I think he should, because if you take on A5, after knight A5, all of a sudden, black's counterattacking white's rook and black gets away.
That's what I was thinking too. Would be a rook C1 check or something lucky there. So rook takes A5, rook C1.
Yep.
And gosh, I'm not seeing any trickies.
He's got knight B4. Here I thought there was queen B5.
Whoa, you're being cheeky. You're not even taking
Greedy.
the rook. Are you kidding me? I'd be like slapping that rook off the board
Well,
and hitting
I
the
mean,
clock
queen
so
is-
hard. Oh, sorry, the queen is
Then
attacked.
I'd be
The queen is attacked. I beg your pardon. Don't.
You were just testing my attention.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's called a blunder. Knight b7.
Yep, that's coming.
Followed by capturing. Oh, well, maybe this is the right way. Rook
This
takes,
is the
queen
way,
takes,
I
rook
think.
takes a5. This is his best.
No,
Chance.
it's lost. Rook c1 and the rook's coming to c8. Because white doesn't have to trade rooks. That's what kills black. If you could get one of the pairs of rooks off the board,
That's
okay,
what I was thinking.
something. But now rook takes b4, I thought. And I think it's over.
Rook takes b4, knight takes b4, queen takes b4, and the bishop on g3 is forcing the rook. But in the same time, we've got a6. You're right. I think it's over.
Jeez, you got crushed. That knight b8 move, that was the culprit. He never recovered from that.
Agreed.
He got caught with his, with his shorts not fully on there.
He was swimming naked after knight to b8.
Oh yeah.
It's oftentimes really sad that you have this troublesome knight, this knight on d7, and you think, okay, I can remaneuver it around, but sometimes you just don't have the time. And the move b5 really was spot on, and it came, unfortunately, at a terrible time for black. And you just pointed out the simplest way of winning: bishop to b8, pawn to a7, and then you're killing the rooks.
Jail time for that rook.
Jailed.
You could
Yes.
probably win that without the knight. That's the sad part.
Right, with the bishop on b8. Surprisingly,
yeah.
he's kind of left his d pawn. What's he doing? Down here?
Rook
What is
b4.
white?
Well, he defends it
b4.
now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, and he's got loaf, so there's no danger to his king. This is borderline resignable.
Agreed.
We talked about early resignations on another podcast. So Jose's going to play this out because of the importance of this game, but
Of course.
it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that mean? Well, that means like Kwang Lim. Okay, he already
Who
finished.
we haven't spoken about. Yeah.
I'm trying to pull up his game. I think he actually, let me check here. No, he is still playing. And he's losing, I think, to Alexei Seirawan, who's got 4.5.
Ooh. Them just coming from a Magnus Carlsen tour event where he did terrifically well. Oh, F2.
What a move. And Queen
What?
E6 is mate. Whichever way the king goes, the queen pursues it.
Nice.
That's pretty.
Very, very attractive.
Or the simple queen F7 also wins.
Strangely enough, I liked your queen e6 a lot better.
Right. It's cuter. And I think this is over because this is actually just a mate thread. The rook can join in the attack if necessary.
Right.
It's all over. And Alexei is going to win. Queen F7 and bishop takes F5 comes to mind. Or bishop takes F5 immediately.
Rook d2 check. I also like that move a lot.
Right.
When you said a moment ago, you said you could bring your rook into the attack if necessary. And my philosophy is very, very clear. Whenever you're attacking, everybody gets an invite. I don't care if you're a rook, a knight, everybody's invited.
You're not leaving anyone out. Right.
Nobody gets left behind. Exactly. Ooh, talk about a nice transference from a winning on the queen side to a sudden checkmate on the king side. Look at that puzzle rush. Bishop d6 check.
Sound effects galore. Bishop d6, queen d7. I mean, choose your mate.
I'll choose that one, please.
Right. I'll have mate on d7 for 400.
Yes, exactly. You sound like a Jeopardy fan.
I am. I'm a big
Nice.
Jeopardy fan. Yep.
Very nice.
Been watching for a long time. Queen b8 deserves consideration.
Very considerate. Very considerate. Yeah.
Okay. And that means Amin with a huge win, he gets to 5.5. So a draw in the next round would basically lock it in for him. And we have just a couple of games remaining. Maxim Alikov, the winner of last week's RCC, is on 4 out of 7. He really slowed down after a good start to this event. He might not qualify. He has to basically win 2 games.
Whoa. Okay. That's good. I always thought that was the most difficult thing in chess, which is winning on demand. And when Vladimir Kramnik did that against Peter Leko in the very last game of the match in Brissago, I thought that's just greatness. I mean, winning on demand with the black pieces.
It's even crazier.
That's the harder task. I definitely have had my fair share of moments of winning on demand. A couple of U.S. championships come immediately to mind, and one interzonal in particular, the Zagreb interzonal that I mentioned there with poor John Donaldson for 26 days in a row, eating tomato pasta. I could laugh about it now.
Right. We're laughing.
John's still embittered. By the way, F6.
It's over.
You're threatening rook takes e5, fg7, queen h6, and mate. Oh,
wow, beautiful. And f6 came out of nowhere.
Where are the golden coins? F6.
They're showering out, and Grishuk might qualify. He's going to move to 5 out of 8.
Nice.
I want to see Sasha in the final.
Seriously, it's not a joke. For the better part of, dare I say, 25 years, Sasha Grishuk has been one of the really, really great blitz chess players. He's a phenomenal 5-minute player. And even today, I mean, he can take down anyone.
Yeah, I mean, he basically plays blitz in classical games, so he gets plenty of practice. He has 5 minutes after the third move usually, and
You're right. Queen h6. There you go.
That's it, and that's the game. Right. And who do we have left? We have the poor Darius Shmirchu. I don't know if he ever recovered from that first round. That tournament could have looked a lot different if Darius won that game
against Fabiano, and that was a game where he just got tasered. He was winning completely, and one of the great turnarounds as Fabi spotted a rook sacrifice that led to a forced checkmating attack, and he won out of nowhere.
Crazy.
Look at this rook g2. That's
domination.
That's terrible. This looks over. Rook f2, and you were just pointing out the knight can jump into the attack. I love this knight landing on it. When the knight lands on f3, you're threatening rook h2 mate.
This is all over, and let's switch to even knight f3 and bishop d5 is winning,
which he's just played.
Look at this line.
Rook g1.
Oh, it's just mate. I thought there was that square.
There was a line
for whatever reason. Right.
Look at this line. Mate one.
What beautiful.
Beautiful. You're the best.
Amazing.
Nice.
Hess and Drev locked in a time scramble.
Also, really well known for his blitz skills back in the day, Alexei Drev.
He's incredibly strong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think like solid Russian GM,
his name is like on the dictionary, right?
Alexei Drev just comes up. That's like, he's the one.
Right.
Karo. He the bishop. Speaking, we jinxed him.
Oh no!
It's not.
We sure
did. He blundered
the rook as well. When it rains, it pours, Danya.
A collapse there, and Drev is going to lose. Oh no! Robert though, he wins a game. He's on 3.5 out of 8, respectable. He wins the next one. He gets to 50%. Oh no, 3 out of 8. Still not bad in an RCC. No. Oh, Alexei's upset. You can tell he's just, what just happened?
I just gave away all my pieces. Yeah.
Well, that means there's one more round. That concludes the games from round 8.
Set the table for us for this next round.
Well,
Fabi's
I'll talk
still
more.
In the lead.
I'll talk more after the break, but for now, I'll say Fabi's in the lead. Couple of players with 5.5 out of 8. The players with 5 out of 8, they're going to have to draw or win to qualify. So don't go anywhere. A lot still to be decided. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. The final round of the Saturday Swiss coming up in just a couple of moments. Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. It's the final round, and we already have a couple of results, a couple of games ending in very quick draws. Fabi locked it in with a draw. Benjamin Bach and Dmitry Andreikin drawing there on 6 out of 9, and Alexei Seirawan also on 6 out of 9. So they're all going to qualify. That takes up 4 spots. Right. And Grishuk Yasser, he decided to make a draw. He's on 5.5 out of 9, currently in 7th place. That's a little dangerous because there's a lot of players with 4.5 who could beat him on the tiebreak potentially.
Oh, really? I thought
we'll see
that for Sasha, a draw more or less clinched, but you're right. The tie breaks. Nobody knows exactly how that's going to work out. And we're in this, well, I always called it the Scotch ending because I really didn't know what else to call it. But as far as I know or knew, the basic thing is more or less draw. The better player wins, but it's theoretically speaking, even, Danya.
Yeah, I mean, this is usually very balanced. And we've seen David Paravian playing this opening with white consistently. This time it's Kovalyov on the white side who, can give himself a chance to qualify if he wins and has good tie breaks, which I don't really think he does, but he's not just giving Amin a draw. Amin would love a draw here. Right.
Exactly. So what exactly is the strategy? You just pointed out that the bishop on C1 goes to F4, trades itself for the dark square bishop. Is that White's strategy? Isn't White angling for bishop to G5 and penalizing the knight?
Yeah, usually that's how you get into that endgame, bishop G5 and then bishop takes F6, and you get this usually quite balanced endgame. But I'm thinking he deviated from the normal. Normally the bishop's already on G5 in this line.
Exactly.
So in this case, maybe he wants
early. Yeah.
So now, no, he goes bishop G5.
Just when you were about to say maybe he wants.
Maybe he wants.
No. He's
waiting for me to say that, and then he's like, okay.
Right. The commentator's curse. Didn't fall for it. Putting the question to the bishop.
Yep, and there we go. There's that end game. I was thinking bishop C4 is interesting, but unfortunately it doesn't work tactically because of bishop E5.
Cute.
So no shenanigans to be had here.
Not this early. But okay, I really like what you've just suggested, only to do it in a different way. I really want to put pressure on this d5 pawn, Danya. So I'm thinking bishop e2 to f3. So if I can get you to advance the pawn to the d4 square, then my knight can maybe get some light squares after knight b2. And yes, precisely the c4 square that I'm really aiming for. So
yeah, that's a good feeling when you've got those nice squares and you can use them to arrange your pieces conveniently.
Exactly.
He's got bishop e2. Very good.
Right. But bishop d4 suggests to me that after bishop f3, black has no interest in advancing his pawn. He's thinking that he's going to try to force a kind of a Mexican standoff with bishop back to e7 and keeping the pawn for as long as he can on the d5 square.
Yeah, that looks pretty watertight. Bishop e5 and involving the rook in the defensive effort also looks pretty solid for black. I'm just, at some point, white's going to run out of fuel to attack these pawns, and black's bishops can get quite scary here.
There are two of them.
Yeah, there are two of them, and white has only one, I believe.
Right. According to the opinion of Grandmaster Dunyan.
Right, black has the two bishop advantage. Yeah, this is happening. Rook b8 has been played, and I think Amin has solved his opening problems quite swimmingly.
In such a position, Danya, if your opponent played against you the move c2, c4, would you be anxious to play the move d4 as black?
Well, I never like getting blockaded by a knight. I personally have always, I felt like these positions are hard to play. The knight as a blockader is very effective, and I like an open board. So I would at least contemplate taking on c4 or playing bishop e5.
Exactly, as opposed, because for a lot of amateur players, the move d5, d4 would come zealously,
right,
with great joy and happiness. And for the amateur player, they're saying to themselves, I've got to protect the passed pawn. I'm much better. But you have answered the question by saying, well, the knight can be a very effective blockader, and it's something that you don't like playing against. That after d4, c4, d4, the knight would come back to b2, and as you're about to say, the knight would roost on the d3 square. So there it is. Optically, it looks really good that, you've got a protected passed pawn, you pat yourself on the back, etc. But it may be not that good.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the time we talk about the differences between more and less experienced players, and that's one of them, not falling in love with the visual features of the position that look impressive and just seeing past that. So bishop f5 could be considered here as an alternative. I'm trying to get you to play bishop d3. And then I thought concretely, after the trade of everything, black's rook sinks its teeth into the second rank. And I don't imagine black can have any problems with pieces this active.
Exactly. The bishop looks great on e5.
So maybe that he's played it. Okay. This is, I don't think.
Wow, the problem.
I think this is heading to a draw.
Well, the problem with the desirable rook c1 is maybe you keep harassing me with that move, bishop. Yeah.
And if rook f3, you might get your rook traps. Bishop b4, bishop f4, and then I can play d4.
Right.
And yeah, you've gotten yourself into a slightly concerning situation.
Clearly. Nice. And like you say, rook c1, bishop f4, rook a1 is a kind of a perpetual that is available for black. There's constant attacking.
Right, but in that case, if you go rook a1, I can actually wait. Oh no! My apologies. Rook takes d5.
Yeah, when you showed bishop c2, it wasn't instantly obvious that rook d5 is a bit embarrassing, but yes, this
is what I was going for.
Clearly, Yes.
And they're repeating. I mean, should not do anything crazy here. I think he should just repeat.
Ooh, he did
Wait.
play rook e5, rook
D4?
e3, sorry.
D4?
What?
Doesn't this trap the rook?
Oh dear.
D4 and
Did he
bishop E4,
blunder?
what am I missing? He definitely did.
He's blundered in exchange. Okay, he's going to get a lot of light squares, but
yeah,
I think at a certain moment, you're convinced your opponent's not playing D4. You stop analyzing D4, right? It's sort of like
it's not happening. Right.
No. So this is knight is coming to B2, and you just blundered in exchange, and you just hope that your opponent doesn't play perfectly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if anything, a draw here, I'm trying to figure out, yes, a draw guarantees qualification. So, I mean, could look at the tournament standings and say, all right, all I need is to qualify for tomorrow.
Right.
But, of course, normally he has 3 minutes extra on the clock. You should be able to win this.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I mean, we'll qualify, and that means 5 spots are going to be taken. And a couple more players with 4.5 out of 8 are still playing. They have to win.
4.5.
Including Gladura against Ray.
Ray. The Dutch player Benjamin Bach has qualified.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier we were mentioning Jordan Van Forest. What happened to Jordy? Did Jordy just kind of slide away?
Yeah, he still has 4.5 out of 8, so he's still in the discussion.
He's in the mix, yeah.
He's
but
in the
needs
mix.
to
He's
win.
playing Gata. Ooh, and I don't think he will.
Ooh.
He's down
Wait a minute.
pawn.
Yeah, sure is. That knight on c5 is really strong too. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think
tagging a lot of squares.
And it can always jump back to e4 and g5 if black is not careful.
Right. It's funny. I was looking at the move rook f4 in order to play rook to c4, double up on the fourth rank, and this kind of thing. But the move rook d1.
Rook b1.
Nice.
Orchestrating a trade of rooks.
Okay.
And tiger and a hat is.
Now that whole sequence with knight e5, e4 to g5 check is really looking strong.
Could black get away with taking that pawn on h4? Probably not.
I'm a pawn grubber, but I would be very hesitant. Knight e4, queen h4, rook c8, perhaps. But e5
still in it somehow.
Still?
I think he's got to try it. I mean, in the interest, because a draw is tantamount to losing,
exactly.
Right? You're not qualifying,
exactly.
So
you're not qualifying.
Jordan has to try everything to mix things up here.
Exactly. Maybe queen h4 is a great opportunity to do that.
Right. I think it is. I think he's got to try it, because if the knight comes to g5, I mean, you're not winning that one in a million years. I don't like that at all.
No.
Come on, Jordan. You had to try it.
That is not a move I wanted to play on any day. Certainly not today. F7, F6. That has a universal groan to it. Okay, isn't it time to just keep posting up pieces? Queen d4, rook.
Knight f6 resigns.
Yeah, what? Knight f6 resigns. That's too
Jordan's
easy.
got to do a better job than that of defending that. He collapsed completely.
The last 2 moves were terrible. Knight e5. Now there's a rook on a7 hanging. If you don't take the knight, then queen takes e5, and there goes the knight. That's resigns. That's the knockout.
Right. Both of them are.
KO.
Jordan's got to try harder than that. I mean,
Oof.
And Gata's going to win. He's going to get to 5.5 out of 9, and he's going to be in the mix as well.
It all depends on the tie breaks.
All depends on the tie breaks. Who with 5.5 out of 9 has the better tie breaks? Right now, it is Paravian and Grishuk. They've got 5.5 out of 9, and there is room for one more. So it's also possible that most people with 5.5 qualify, and 1 or 2 with the worst tie breaks are left out. We'll see.
Gotcha.
So this is over.
Right. What else do we have?
Another 4.5 game struggle is Solemn, who defeated Dariush in that nice end game attack. He's playing Jose. Okay. So what's happening here?
Very crazy position, right? So rook takes c3. Get rid of that guy. He played knight e4. C2. How are we getting rid of that guy? Like, wait a minute. Be very, very careful about inviting the tiger to dinner. Because you think you're going to win that pawn on c2. If you don't, you lose. I got a feeling White's not going to be happy with this. Maybe.
And now the tiger says, "Hey, I'll give myself up, but not without a few limbs. I'm gonna tear a couple away from you. Hand here, pawn is hanging. This should be lost 1.5 minutes though for Jose. He has to watch his clock.
Definitely.
Maybe even knight before knight c6 is a practical try. I don't know.
Agreed. Those tricky knights. Knight on e4, knight on c6.
Objectively lost, of course.
Yeah. But we have seen how time trouble makes a fool of us all. And, we just saw Alexei Andreev blunder not just a bishop, but a rook, kind of a back-to-back. When it rains, it pours, you get into a cycle there.
Right.
Just can't help but blunder.
And somehow Kovalyev, look at this position. He has managed to create chances down in exchange.
This is a little bit crazy, right? You've got knight a6 coming. You've got bishop to d5 on a good day. And maybe that pawn on c6 going to c7 can really cause some hurt feelings.
It's double-edged. That's for sure.
To say the least. I wanted to say 3 results, but yeah, double-edged is a fair. So king b5
goes back.
He drops back. So I guess he's
but now rook a3.
Now rook a3. Oh no!
Ooh, brutal move.
The knight now suddenly trapped. If he had played king b4 there instead of this king d3 move, king b4.
Oh, b4
or b5.
But I feel like black strikes first, because after d3 bishop f7, I can drop my bishop back to contain the c pawn. And I think black is winning there. Still though, bishop f5 is a huge threat. How do you stop that again?
Bishop a5 check. Bishop a5 to
nice.
I liked what you did before, which was cover the c7 square, king d8, and the pawn's not going anywhere. But rook c3 is the big threat. Rook c3 check.
And then collect the pawns. What? He didn't play rook c3?
Wow.
That's stunning, but he's still winning, of course.
True.
Takes another pawn, and here comes the f pawn. Oh, bishop a5 also.
Yeah, I was about to say that it's kind of funny that suddenly black is the one playing after f3, bishop check, and escorting his pawn up the board.
King c6 or king whatever, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is over. Now Grishuk has dropped to number 8. He's got worse tie breaks than Gata and Paravian. Grishuk might not make it. No, he's officially out. Like Wang, who won his game, has surpassed Grishuk.
Oh
my goodness. And now the question is,
bad luck.
But Amin will win, and he will knock out Lim. So at least 2 players with 5.5 will get knocked out.
Wow.
Grishuk shouldn't have taken that draw. That turns out in retrospect to be a really bad decision.
That's the thing too. What?
Whoa.
What?
Is that necessary? I don't know.
It was fancy. Oh, look at the domination.
No, that's
nice.
Nasty.
Oh, that's just cruel.
Oh, take c7, king e7. That's the winning line.
I like it. Go
And
ahead
no
and make
stalemate.
a queen. Yeah.
And make a knight king e6, and the knight can move.
Right. It reminds me of was it Suicide Chess, where you're forced to take the
Right.
knight?
It's over. And
It's over.
that's it. That means, what does that mean? That means Amin qualifies. That means Alexei Serrano qualifies. And of 5 out of 9, only David Paravian, Lei Kwang Lim, and Gata Kamsky make it. Gata squeaks by the hair, on the tiger's chin.
Right.
Grishuk and Jose, even though they have 5.5, they do not qualify.
Bad luck.
Upsetting, but that is the Rapid Chess Championship. So we have our 8 who make it to Sunday's knockout, and we will go on a short break, but don't go anywhere because we're going to recap today's action, and we're going to have the rapid recap. We're going to choose a game. But first, a little break. You're watching the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Concluding thoughts and rapid recap coming your way in just a couple of moments.
Want to play chess online or learn how to improve? Join us at the #1 chess destination in the world, chess.com. With hundreds of thousands of people playing at any moment, you'll quickly find a game with someone at your level, whether you're a total beginner or a grandmaster. You can play games at any pace against friends, other members, or one of our many computer personalities. Chess.com makes improving fun and easy. Sharpen your game with tactics puzzles and enhance your strategy with our videos and lessons by top masters. Learn from your own games with Chess.com's easy-to-use analysis tool. Regardless of your skill level, Chess.com has all you need to take your game to the next level. Chess.com is your go-to source for chess news, live coverage of tournaments, events, and everything in between. Experience Chess.com anytime and anywhere, whether you're at home on your computer or on the go with our mobile apps. Signing up is free and easy, so what are you waiting for? Join Chess.com today.
Welcome back to the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. The Saturday Swiss is in the books. We've got our 8 players, but first it is time for the Coinbase Rapid Recap. And Yasser, what happens at the start of the tournament has tremendous bearing on the course of the tournament. And the game that we chose is an unforgettable duel between Grandmaster Dariusz Schwartz, the white pieces, and Fabi Caruana with the black pieces. This was an epic one. And it started with a pretty unusual opening, too. Knight c3, bishop f5, preventing e4.
Yeah, no question about it. This, from the very start, we knew we had something on our hands, a bit of a Donnybrook, as both players were trying to outfox each other in the opening. And we were just surprised ourselves at how beautifully Dariusz outplayed his higher ranked opponent and had a gorgeous position from the opening. Here, after bishop d3, queen d3, everything to like for white, as the move h4 tenderizes the king side and says, you know, if you try to hide your king over there on the king side, you're not going to have a very comfy home. In the meanwhile, castles by Dariusz, and I think at this point, Fabi was waking up to the fact that something has gone really wrong. He plays queen e7 as a prelude.
He's weak everywhere. Now,
right?
Queen b5 was suggested, e4, f3. Dariusz going for a bit of a speculative campaign. Knight b5, discouraging Fabi from castling queenside. So Fabi, but Fabi says, okay, you got me, I'll castle kingside. And the problem is that this knight on b5 now gives fuel to the fire of black's queenside attack, which Fabi does a good job of getting started. So here's f3 trying to break open the king side. Fabi says, all right, you go on the king side, I go on the queen side, c5, b5. And
fair enough.
c4, b4.
But after this move, knight e2, this is the point where we started saying, hey, wait a minute. Black's king side is crumbling because there's really no way to defend against knight f4.
Right.
Bishop f6 and knight h5. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So suddenly, Fabi has got to put everything onto his queenside attack and just hope he succeeds. Now, the funny part was when we saw this move, king a1, I said, hey, that's a really good move. And the bar went down.
Right. The bar went down.
Danya, that was a good move.
And there was this resource. Fabi could have played a4, c takes b4, and then a3, shoving that pawn down and forcing the queenside open. That would have yielded very decent counterattacking chances. But Fabi realized that he's got to do something, but he instead chooses to sacrifice an exchange in order to get this bishop off e5. And that was an overreaction that was unnecessary. Right. And he doesn't produce enough compensation. He goes b3, hoping to one day sacrifice a bishop on a3. Right. Turns out that this is more dream than reality.
Right. No can do. In fact, it's really... Fabi pursued it for a move or two. I think he intimated he was about to go queen a4. He made a move. Didn't he play? Yes. Queen d7, queen d7. Intimating queen a4. And Dariusz said, give me a break. You're not doing anything. No way. I was just like king b1. And that goes nowhere. You can sacrifice away, but there's knight c1. And much more importantly was what Dariusz played. e3, e4, queen g5 check is on white's agenda, and he said, oh god, that's terrible.
I got a reverse course, and now he's just down a full exchange. He's got no compensation, nothing going on the queen side. He tries to open up the center with e5. Dariusz reacts simply, take on g4, take on h5. Here we thought it was over. Queen takes g4, knight f6 is a threat. Fabi has to allow the trade of minor pieces.
Right. So your pawn down, a pawn and an exchange down, and all you got to do. What do we tell everybody? We are coaches. Trade pieces when you're ahead material. Instead of the move h5, I mean, you go back just a moment. Everybody and his brother should have played the move Rook E1. Went ahead, trade pieces.
Just trade.
When he didn't do this, he thought, okay, you're being a little bit easy, but this should be winning. This should be winning. Come on. I mean, we were still convinced that, White's winning.
White was actually still winning. There were moves, Rook E1, maybe Rook F4, but Dariush going for the big prize, Queen B8 and H6, and he was thinking, and Queen F8 here, by the way.
Well, that was the nice one. Then you're threatening Rook F7,
right?
And life's good for White. But when he played the move H6, and you said, "Holy smokes, there's a tactic in the position," I was like,
Rook E2.
Oh no!
And
oh my God!
Cannot stop Rook takes E2 and Queen E2 with mate.
Oh my God! And we thought, no, this can't be happening. And
Dariush has to dial the queen back to prevent a queen check on E4. And at first we thought, oh, it's a draw, King A1. You don't have to take the rook. And it's going to be a perpetual. But no, Fabi finds the brilliant Knight F2.
No.
With the idea of checking on G6.
He's dead busted. Fabi's dead busted. Dead. And he finds a way of making a perpetual check. And then he instantly plays Knight F2, playing for the win. I mean,
unbelievable.
He goes right past, let's make a draw with Rook B2 check, Rook A2 check. No, he goes Knight F2. And that's actually a crushing move. That's a winning move because of what you were just pointing out. Rook F2, Queen G6, Queen F5, Rook F2 is the game winner for Black.
No, this is completely crushing. And after Rook H5, Queen G6, Dariush has to go for the queen trade. And actually, Black is happy with the queen trade because the knight, the rook, and the pawn combine to create totally unstoppable threats against White's king.
Checkmate threats. Yeah,
it's over. The king is perfectly safe. Knight B2. And now, does he take the rook? No, he does not. He goes B2 check and B1 queen with a discovery, and then a checkmate to top it off. 50 move game. Unbelievable. You showed the final position. You say, this was a nice attacking game by Fabi. You would miss everything that happened in the middle there.
I think this perfectly encapsulates the kind of excitement that this Rapid Chess championship really produces. I mean, okay, it's not the greatest, but boy, is it entertaining. And Danya, as always, it's great fun. Calling the action with you is always a great pleasure.
This is awesome. This was your Coinbase Rapid Recap. Yasser, likewise, I have such a good time, and it really is an honor commentating with you as we have our bracket set for tomorrow. We can see Gata is going to face off against Fabi. Oh, I love that. I can't wait. Fabi against Gata.
5-time U.S. champion, Gata Kamsky.
Oh, my goodness. And we've got great mouth-watering matchups. And Draken is in again. He will try to improve on his performance last week and get it all the way to the end.
Finals, yes.
And on
the other bracket,
we've got Paravian Bach and Lei Kwang against Amin Tabatabai.
Well, the Dutchies are all happy that they've got a horse in the race. Go Benjamin.
It's going to be a great day. And today was a great day. Yasser, as you said, this was so much fun for me, an honor. And these 3.5 hours went by in a flash, as they always do.
As they always do. Thank you, Danya. And a big shout out to our audience. Thank you all for sharing your weekend with us. Tomorrow is the knockout matches. Join Danya and Anna Rudolph tomorrow.
Yes.
I won't be with you, but I'll be cheering from the sidelines.
You'll be there. You'll be there in spirit. Well, Yasser, thank you, everybody in the chat. To Matt, our producer, another great broadcast. For now, Matt, we hope you have a great rest of the weekend. Yasser Seirawan and Daniel Naroditsky saying goodbye from the Saturday Swiss of week 7 of the Rapid Chess Championship presented by Coinbase. Goodbye.